Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. I'm here with my comrade in arms, famously unfamous. How you doing, sir?
All right, how are you, man?
Another
Doing all right.
day, another stream of corruption.
Keeping the Thanksgiving tradition going all the way through Christmas, I see, with panels.
Oh yeah, Claudette, Tack, someone somewhere, Cloud Kicker, Angel K. What is up, everybody? Got a little teaser here for everybody. Nothing to show, but we got some exclusive video. From where was it again?
Napanee, Indiana.
You guys know Napanee.
Yeah, they stopped me in Freedom to Film, just walking down the road.
Yeah.
And then they retaliated for walking down the road. It turned into a hell of a shit show. They ended up giving Freedom a ticket, which they abruptly dismissed um, after couldn't get any redress of your grievances. Anybody you called there, they won't talk to you. They won't answer who they are, tell you their name on the phone. So it's weird.
Yeah,
They
everybody,
dismissed
please
that.
smash that like button. Share this stream out there. So anyway, we got exclusive video from someone that wishes to remain anonymous at this time, but we have exclusive video from Napanee, Indiana, showing just exactly how professional they really are. That'll come later in the stream, guys. Right now, we just want to get into the video. So,
Just
without
just to
further ado,
recap a little bit.
oh,
We're
go ahead.
watching. We're watching. For the people that don't know, we're watching the Police Merit Commission involving Detective Joy Phillips of Elkhart, Indiana Police Department, um, for not writing up a search warrant, in her opinion, that would have been unconstitutional, and it leading to a lot of exposure inside the Elkhart Police Department and Elkhart County as a whole, involving the prosecutor, the city attorney, the ex-police chief that retired. Um, there's a lot of videos. Go back, check them out, and that's basically it. We're finishing up watching the Police Merit Commission, and I think this is Joy's um, actual testimony, and that's it.
Let me expand on that a little bit. So, if you guys are aware of a case in the Elkhart, Indiana area involving Andrew Royer, this is a case that involves a lady, Vicky Becker, who sat in while they questioned him as a suspect, allegedly. And she is the reason for this entire merit commission as well. So it's the county prosecutor, I do believe. Is that
Yes.
what her title is? Okay, yeah, county prosecutor. And that's the reason for a lot of these exonerations. That's the reason for this merit commission, which, by the way, this merit commission is now under judicial review, guys. Um, so there's a lot of shit going on. If you're still kind of in the dark, I implore you, please at least go back and watch the very first episode. That will kind of fill you in on what's going on. But without further ado, let's get into it.
Meeting will come back to order and we will continue with rebuttal evidence. Or are you still crossing?
I pass the witness.
I'm sorry, no redirect, Your Honor.
You're done?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Just for your information, you have 41 minutes remaining. You have 173 minutes remaining.
We don't have any.
Well, we could play an audio.
Hmm.
We can just submit it and they can listen to it on their own.
We can just we can offer them into evidence. We may offer some audio into evidence, Your Honor, but not for the board's review at a later date.
Be fine.
What is the audio?
The complete conversation of Chief Seymour, Jason Ray, and Detective Phillips meeting in August regarding her discipline. I believe the city's offered portions of that, but not the complete video.
I have no objection to that.
And
Do we have a number for that?
do we have a number for that?
That's last year.
What the number is? Well, we will have to create a number.
So it's not on the list of
It
items yet.
It has been submitted. I don't know that it is was on our original list with a number. Your Honor, should I just give it a number?
Just anything that identifies as all I'm looking for.
Okay. Why don't we call that Exhibit 100? And
That's the complete interview of Ray, Seymour, Phillips.
yes, sir. Or their meeting. Oh, okay. On the flash drive, it says Seymour, Ray, and I, 8/16/22. There may be, we would move to enter our other evidence that has not been submitted as well. That includes Exhibit 1, which is the Sergeant Hauser recording. Exhibit 2, the agenda for the, no, excuse me, the WebEx for the entire Board of Safety meeting. Again, the city has admitted portions of that meeting, but this is the unedited version. Excuse me, sir, that's Exhibit 3, not 2. Exhibit 5 is the in-car video, in-car camera of Sergeant Young. Exhibit 7, which is Joy Phillips' email to Chief,
Nope,
N-
Whitmire?
to Whitmire.
Oh, I'm sorry, now Chief, yeah.
Yes, now Chief Whitmire. 8 and 9 are the EPD case reports for the Bees 3 investigation. These are unredacted. The city has already submitted these, but they are redacted version. Exhibits 11, 12, 13, and 14 are the internal affairs interviews. Again, these are all videos that the city has already shown, but these are the videos in their entirety. Exhibit 15 is the interview of the complainant, the owner's daughter of the Bees 3 by a detective. Exhibit 16 is the August 11th meeting of the Captain Review Board. It is a complete audio, unlike the portions produced by the city or played by the city. Yes, Joy, could you?
Minute mark 50 and minute mark 2.
Exhibit 18 is the body cam of Detective Van Scoik investigating the Bees 3 possible burglary. Again, the city has introduced portions of this video. This is the entire body cam video. Exhibit 19 is the entire body cam video of Lieutenant Snyder investigating the Bees 3 incident. Exhibit 20 are captain's letters that Joy Phillips has written to the various captain's review boards. Exhibit 21 is Denise Hauser's complaint against Joy Phillips as recorded in Benchmark. I believe the city has offered portions of this complaint. These are the entire complaint. Exhibit 21 is Sergeant Roundtree's Benchmark complaint.
Excuse me, I thought you said 21 was Hauser
Yes, sir.
complaint.
Yes, sir. 22 is the same for Roundtree. Portions of this Benchmark document have been offered, but these are the entire documents. Exhibit 23 is the audio of Joy Phillips' conversation with Lieutenant Whitmire, or Captain Whitmire, excuse me, now Chief, on July 7, 2021. Exhibit 24 is an email that Joy Phillips sent to former Chief Seymour. Exhibit 25 is audio of a conversation that Joy Phillips recorded with Chief Seymour. Exhibit 26 is the cyber crimes report. Same document as the city has provided. Exhibit 28 is the collective bargaining agreement between the city of Elkhart and the Fraternal Order of Police. 29 is Joy Phillips amended grievance. Exhibit 30 are emails that Joy Phillips sent to Elkhart City Human Resources and to Captain Whitmire. And Exhibit 31 is audio that Joy Phillips recorded of herself and with audio of herself and Chief Seymour on March 12th, 2021.
The objection.
Oh,
My only,
sir, there are some more.
I can wait.
Could you speak louder, Troy?
34 is going to be the April 25th email to command staff. 35 is the Hadessa Mays interview with Sergeant Roundtree. 36 are going to be photographs of 1125 West Beardsley. 39 is an audio between myself and Lieutenant Tweedy, where I received my evaluation from 10/28/22. 40 is the redacted, I think it's like a training file and background file for me, and the HR file. 41 is the, it says audio 1_7_2022 with Brandon Roundtree. 43 is the ISP investigative report. 45 is it's marked 151 for the minute mark conversation with Whitmire. 47 is the Mr. Grant charging information. 48 is I think it's an audio of Whitmire, Ray, and I for grievance hearing. 49 is 05_19_22 meeting with Whitmire on forced mediation. 50 is Captain Whitmire body worn camera video. 51 is audio _2_19_2021 Captain Review Board. 52 is all counselings. 54 dispatch record from 7/12/22. 56 is a letter from chief and prosecutor and other accusatory letters, charging letters. 57, Mrs. Phillips timeline since 2016. And then I don't know what number, the Court of Appeals and the letter for Carl Conway from the Police Merit Commission, but I would like those as well. I just don't know what number you want to.
I didn't hear that last
I'm
part, sorry.
The Court of Appeals and the Police Merit Commission letter from about Carl Conway for 101 and 102.
Any objection?
My only objection is to those things that are unredacted that are going in. I would want some kind of an explanation as to why we need the unredacted versions, to what the important information is that is the reason that we need an unredacted version as opposed to the redacted versions the city provided and took hours to draft up.
We weren't supplied with the videos of Hadessa Mays and Amanda Smith, so these are the videos that we have of those interviews.
That's not correct. I provided them with redacted versions of both of those interviews.
I think transparency requires that the board have access, the commission have access to the unredacted videos. I think we have raised concerns throughout this hearing about the lack of transparency in the disciplinary process. This is a complete investigation. It is not an ongoing criminal investigation. I think that the commission is entitled to see complete evidence. And for example, the redacted videos with boxes floating over people they're very distracting and confusing. I'm certainly not accusing Ms. Rivera of blocking out critical information, but they're distracting. They don't give you the full picture of what happened. And I think the trial rules contemplate that when a portion of evidence is offered into evidence that the adverse party has the right to see the entire thing. And that is what we want here.
Do you have any more specific concerns about the redactions being revealed? Presumably the exhibits will remain confidential unless there is an appeal.
Correct. If there's an appeal, that would all get put into the record of another court. I mean, theoretically, we've always said, once it goes to the Police Merit Commission, it's out in the public. That's always been the position the city has taken, obviously.
Guys, listen very carefully right here. Listen.
After today, we're going to have to probably redact things separate and apart if people were to request a record of what happened today, because we cannot.
See in the disciplinary process.
Listen closely to what she's going to say.
This is a complete investigation. It is not an ongoing criminal investigation. I think that the commission is entitled to see complete evidence. And for example, the redacted videos with boxes floating over people they're very distracting and confusing. I'm certainly not accusing Ms. Rivera of blocking out.
Listen closely.
Critical information, but they're distracting. They don't give you the full picture of what happened. And I think the trial rules contemplate that when a portion of evidence is offered into evidence, that the adverse party has the right to see the entire thing. And that is what we want here.
Let's just listen.
Do you
Listen,
have any
guys.
more specific concerns about the redactions being revealed?
Listen to her words.
Presumably the exhibits will remain confidential unless there is an appeal.
Correct. If there's an appeal, that would all get put into the record of another court. I mean, theoretically, we've always said, once it goes to the Police Merit Commission, it's out in the public. That's always been the position the city has taken. Obviously, after today, we're going to have to probably redact things separate and apart if people were to request a record of what happened today, because we cannot have that stuff going out into the public.
Let that sink in. Let that sink in. We cannot have this information going out to the public. Like, are you serious, guys? This is the lawyer for the FOP defending these pieces of shit. This is unreal.
I'll admit this list of exhibits for whatever weight they have.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You rest.
Yes, Your Honor.
In rebuttal, I would call former Chief Seymour.
Raise your right hand, please. You swear or affirm that the testimony you give here will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Can you state your name for the record?
Chris Seymour.
And what was your
Pay attention. Look how he's dressed, by the way. This is a formal proceeding in front of the Merit Commission, and this is how this guy dresses. His, Maui laser shirt and yeah.
your title when you retired from the city of Elkhart?
Chief of Police.
And how long were you Chief of Police?
Just shy of 3 years.
And as Chief of Police, did you have occasion to work on the perf study?
All right?
Did you have occasion to work with the PERF study?
Yes.
And can you tell us what the PERF study is?
So PERF study was commissioned, I believe, in 2018, maybe 19. Former Chief Snyder began that implementation of what that group's recommendations were, and that's what they were. They were recommendations to how the Elkhart Police Department could improve transparency, could improve the disciplinary process, review process, use of force, policies in general. So I took over in July of 2020. There was still a handful of those recommendations that we were working with not only the FOP, but also city legal to make sure that, you know, it was something that if it fit for this police department. Again, there were recommendations. So I would say that about 98, 99% of their recommendations were implemented. The only one that I know for sure that didn't really meet their standard would be the pursuit policy that we had in place. Their recommendation was that the Elkhart Police Department follow one similar to New Orleans. Well, this isn't New Orleans. It's not designed and laid out the same way. So having EVOC, emergency vehicle operations officers that are trained in that and that give that training, review that. Our subject matter experts inside the department were part of that implementation too. So if it was use of force, our firearms instructors, our use of force instructors were parcel of that, as well as the administration. So in short, virtually all of those recommendations were put in place with some tweaks to make it fit for this department because, you know, one size doesn't fit all.
And can you tell us about some of the accomplishments during your term as chief?
Oh, I don't have the exact numbers, but I know from 20 to 21, complaints were down right around 30% on officers. Use of force went down 10 or 12%. Those were things that we were super proud of because it showed that, you know, we took those recommendations serious. We put those things in place because that energy and effort was put into that by everybody involved. So it was good to see the numbers reflect that. And going out of, you know, the COVID pandemic, a lot of the overall numbers were down, but from 2020 to 2021, arrests actually went up about 45 or 46%. So arrests went up, complaints and use of force went down. That's exactly what you want to see. So we knew that these were working.
As chief of police, did you oversee the professional standards department?
Yes.
And where did you oversee the 3-day suspension of Detective Phillips?
Yes.
Was it you who originally brought those charges?
I don't believe so, no.
I apologize. You were the chief
Yes,
when those
yes.
charges were brought.
Yes.
And did you have occasion to sit through the Board of Safety hearings in October 11th and October 25th of 2022?
Yes, I did.
And can you tell us whether or not this process has been fair to Joy Phillips?
Beyond. It was a kangaroo court.
Has Joy been mistreated or targeted in any way?
No, not whatsoever. In fact, I would go so far to say as it was overly fair on her behalf because of the numerous complaints, the number of them, the allegations. Everything was investigated beyond pale.
In your opinion, is Conway a credible source of information?
I'm sorry?
Is Conway a credible source of information?
No.
Did, in one of the recordings that Detective Phillips played, Conway was discussing Captain Moore. Did he serve his 3-day suspension?
Yes, he did.
And can you tell us what happened with Conway that he could claim that he didn't serve his 1-day suspension?
Well, there's There's several possibilities. This was during the same time that shortly before he was put on administrative leave for the court findings that came out from the appeals court. Second is that's kind of a personal responsibility. I mean, if you receive a suspension, you're supposed to schedule that with your immediate supervisor. And then his captain at the time should have seen to it that that day was served. I didn't take it upon myself to go micromanage and double check that captain's work. So that's on me.
Did you have occasion to watch these proceedings yesterday on WebEx?
Yes,
And did you have occasion to view Councilman Hankey discuss a situation regarding Detective Clays?
yes.
Did you agree with the way that Detective Hankey described that situation occurred?
No, not at all. There were bits and pieces that were accurate, but ultimately the end of that was not.
Can you tell us your perspective on that situation?
So I received a call. I had already known about this instance where Detective Clay's dog had bit Councilman Hankey's wife. I had been made aware of it like either that night or the next morning. Talked to Councilman Hankey on the phone about it. The only assurance that I made was that it would be looked into and investigated. So at the time, and I don't recall exactly whether Dennis Russell was still with us or if he had retired, but I did have the occasion to talk to him to bounce off, you know, when he was the animal control officer, how would you handle this? So what he told.
I am McMurray right now, but McMurray had to pee. So I am doing my best McMurray impression.
You can continue answering.
What Officer Russell told me, former Officer Russell told me, was that in not every instance where a dog bites someone is that dog deemed vicious. Again, this is just like any other investigation. There's no cookie cutter answer. There's no, everything takes on a life of its own. So, and he added that not every owner, you know, has that dog put down. Not every owner even gets a citation for that. So there was no promise of
Freedom to film. What's up, man?
Detective Clays being demoted for his dog's actions.
Was it in your hands whether Detective Clays would have been demoted?
No. No. If a complaint is made or allegation is made, it's first documented, it's investigated by professional standards. If evidence is found to support those charges, it's then forwarded to the captain's review board. Whether they substantiate those charges, then they review everything, all of the evidence, all the information, and they make a recommendation for discipline or sanctions. Then the chief's office reviews all of that information and can concur with that, can go against that, or can do nothing with it.
And who is in charge of discipline over 5 days?
The Police Merit Commission.
So it wouldn't have been in your power to demote Detective Clays in any case, correct?
No. What it would have had to have been is, again, go through internal affairs. They substantiate any of the evidence and charges. If it's actual policy violation, which someone's personal dog biting someone while they're at home off duty is not a policy violation. So it wouldn't even go to internal affairs to begin with, unless there was an allegation that, you know, the owner let the dog loose off of a leash or gave a command to do a bite or something along those lines. But we didn't have anything like that in this instance, so it didn't even go to internal affairs. So therefore, it would not go to a captain review board to issue any sanctions whatsoever. This is just like any other case that would be investigated.
Did Councilman Hankey in any way indicate to you that he was upset with your handling of the situation?
We did yesterday.
Was that the first you had heard about this?
As far as the dog situation, yes. I mean, I never heard any other feedback about that. So, no, I never heard anything.
Regarding November 1st of 2022, can you tell us what occurred on that day?
I believe that would have been the day that I placed Detective Phillips on paid administrative leave.
And did you order 4 of your command staff to take any actions?
Yes, I did.
And what was that order?
I received information from them that she had an unauthorized personal recording device in her office within the police department. Policy state that's against policy, number one. You can't record people against their knowledge on a personal device. If you have something that you feel that warrants that, there is a process and a chain of command to go through. So I ordered them to retrieve that device.
And subsequently, was there a criminal complaint filed against EPD employees for the actions that were taken on that day?
Yes, I was notified of that the following day.
And what was, can you tell us about that, the details of that?
I was contacted by a lieutenant from Indiana State Police the following day, advising me that he had just interviewed Detective Phillips over the course of about 4 hours. And the complaint was against Captain Hamlin, Captain Whitmire at the time, Sergeant Clayball, and Lieutenant Rathel.
And what
for criminal confinement.
And were the events of that day captured on body camera?
Yes.
Did you have a chance to review that body camera?
Right after the incident occurred, I viewed the entire video.
And in your estimation, was there any validity to the criminal complaint filed with Indiana State Police?
None whatsoever. She was free to leave, just wasn't taking the recording device with her. Two separate things.
Did Prosecutor Becker review the case?
Yes.
And what was her decision as regards charges on the case?
None were filed.
And do you have knowledge of what's occurring regarding those charges currently?
I believe there's a application for a special prosecutor out of Kosciuszko County.
What was the impact of Detective Phillips filing that criminal case against 4 of your command staff, including professional standards?
Well, it's pretty devastating to them because they were following orders and doing what they were supposed to do. And when a overly egregious criminal charge is filed against you as a police officer, or even an overly egregious policy violation, yeah, it affects you. It affects your work life, it affects your home life, and everything in between. So,
did it make these proceedings more difficult, the termination of Detective Phillips?
sure.
If I were to play you the body camera from that day on November 1st, would you be able to recognize it?
Yes, I would.
If we could play what's been marked as Chief's Exhibit 48.
Now, if you guys pay attention to
Minute
this,
13.
the body cam was actually recorded either upside down or strapped to somebody's satchel or something.
Yeah, it was almost like it was in a GoPro mount, and they was holding onto the straps of it, and it was just hanging there. It's really weird the way that turned out, but they definitely held her against her will. They had already taken her service pistol and her badge and everything else, and they were all armed at the time. They even, I think it was the chief or possibly a sergeant, one of her superiors actually put his foot in front of the door and held her there. Let's watch the footage.
13 minutes.
Just watch this shit, guys.
Yep, you're good. Oh, see this?
They definitely knew the camera was on. They turned it on. This was intentional.
Alex, see if that's mine. I have a ride coming.
And if you want, we could skip this part and I could show you a different video of this exact situation where it's turned the right way, if that would help you guys. You guys let me know in the chat.
Yeah, it'd probably be better to flip it over, like where I inverted it or whatever. Yeah.
Let me pause it real quick. Let me find that video. Was that a standalone video?
I believe so. I believe so.
Videos. Okay, let me get to it here. I'm pulling up your video for reference.
Yeah, it's right after the intro, actually.
Yeah, I'm bringing it up right now. If you guys want to watch the full video that Famously did, please go to his channel and you can check out the video there. But he inverted the video for you guys, so we'll watch it here.
Alex, see if that's mine. I have a ride coming.
Wow, thank you, Brooke. I appreciate that. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
I know. I can see if I get a way home.
I'm getting out of the office. Are we able to, so I can go store this stuff? I gotta get changed. I gotta get down to Indy for a training.
You have to get, oh.
So it's
Oh, no, this is mine.
got stuff,
Nope, it's got federal evidence on it from South Bend.
unfortunately.
Nope, unfortunately, I'll call my lawyers right now. They will go with me.
Unfortunately,
I'm telling you, no, it cannot stay.
it's staying.
This is federal and I have a gag order on you, so no.
Joy,
It's not, no.
anything brought
And I
into
get
the
to
building,
download everything on it. You can't get rid of it.
Joy, everything has got to stay.
Mm-mm. I'm able to take about other personal effects, but you're not gonna take my recorder from me.
Correct.
Sorry, gentlemen, that I'm gonna tell you right now, that's not gonna happen, not with my lawyer. This literally has been my secretary since day one, and you're gonna call me a liar and have Vicky Becker try to get me on being a liar when I can prove everything that I said in court? No, sorry. That's not gonna happen. Hi, Joy, can you talk for a second? So I'm sorry to bother you. I don't know if you're still out of the state, but I am being put on paid administrative leave, and I have two captains standing here at my door telling me that I can't leave with my my recorder. Yes.
Joy,
I'm telling you, gentlemen, don't touch
Joy.
me. Don't touch me, gentlemen. No, you're not
Joy.
going to take my bag.
now everything's
No.
staying.
No, it's not staying, okay? Here's my lawyer, okay? All right, this is Dan Pfeiffer, all right? That is my own personal, that's my personal recorder, okay? This is my personal backpack. You can take anything else you want. You can leave my computer out, that's perfectly fine. I don't care. You're trying to access my stuff, that's fine, I don't mind, that doesn't matter, but I'm telling you, you're not taking my personal recorder.
No. When you did.
The recorder's not leaving your office.
Well, then I'm not leaving this office.
George, the recorder's not leaving your office. You can take it.
It's my own no, this is my personal effects. These are all my personal effects. You have no legal grounds to take my stuff from me. None. You said it's pending an investigation, right? So it means investigation hasn't began. I wasn't even advised in anything. I got brought into the chief's office. You guys said that I'm under investigation, but I haven't even been advised of anything. And I got this letter saying that Vicky Becker is questioning my integrity. And you want to take the very thing that can prove my integrity. Absolutely not. No. You can take it up with my lawyer.
Go grab play ball and raffle.
Dan, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear.
They're trying to take my stuff from me physically. My recorder that has all the South End stuff on it.
Okay, but it's your personal property. You're not giving them permission to take it.
No.
They can't take it. Anything that's police department's property, they can take that.
Yeah, and they've already confiscated all that.
Okay, so they just don't give it to them.
Right. I have you on speaker, Dan, so they can hear you.
Yeah, I mean, nobody has the right to take someone else's personal property.
I don't know what you're gonna do or accomplish, but I'm not gonna give you my personal effects. Sorry. It's not gonna happen. Dan, are you able to stay on the phone with me?
Yeah, I mean, I can't. I'm down in Mexico.
I know you are.
I'll stay on the phone.
George, put your bag.
I'm not going to my bag. I'm zipping my bag up.
Put your bag out.
No, do not take my stuff from me. Do not take my stuff from me. It has my wallet and everything else in it. This is mine.
Put it down.
I'm not going to put it down. I'm leaving.
You're
My ride is here and I'm leaving.
We're gonna hang tight right here.
No, we're not going to hang tight right here. You can continue to write me up.
I asked you to touch your computer.
I just locked it. Is that okay? You won't let me take my keyboard or anything else. Andy, please move out of my way.
No.
Andy?
George, you brought equipment into your office. You took it. We told you not to take it.
It's
You
my
continued to
stuff.
take it.
It's just same as everything else in here. And I will be leaving now.
So Detective Phillips has their attorney on the phone. She was leaving, but she snagged the electronic recording device.
Yeah, I have a
We told her
recorder.
to put it down. Told her to put it down. You shouldn't put it in her backpack. Now she says it's hers. and
It is mine.
Okay, well, you need to place it back on the desk.
I'm not going to place it back on the desk. It's my own personal effect. Okay, it's mine. And it has evidence of my old federal case. So no, I'm not leaving it.
Should that be determined to be true, then you will receive that back.
No, that's not going to happen. And my lawyer's on the phone and he's on speaker so he can hear everything you're saying.
Okay.
He's already advised that you guys cannot take that stuff from me. So that's where we're at.
Fantastic.
So I'm
You
going
were
to leave
given
now.
a direct order.
And I'm going to tell you right
to
now, you
place
don't
that
have the right
back
to
on
do
the
it.
desk.
No, sorry.
Are you saying you're refusing a direct order from your captain?
I've already
Yes or no?
told you I'm going to
Did
leave.
he order you to place that back on your desk?
Not you did just now.
Joy, remove the recorder from your backpack and put it on your desk.
It's
The
not
direct
in my
order.
backpack. It's on my person.
Remove it from your person.
I'm not
Put
removing
on
it. You're not taking it from me. It's not going to happen. And I'm going to be leaving. So please step aside. I don't want to have to move past you, but I will. Thank you, gentlemen. Please let go of my backpack and do not touch me. Get your hands off of me.
Joy,
Joy.
You can't leave with the stuff that's in this building because you'll be arrested.
It's not your stuff. It is mine. You don't have it.
Case law has
You know what?
stated it,
You're
right?
you're not locking me in this room. Dan,
Sure.
I'm leaving.
Take a breath.
No, you're going to let me out now. You're not going to confine me. Let me out now.
We need our.
Let me out. It's not your property. It is mine. It's an Olympus. You don't have it. It's not yours. I know what my rights are.
But there are videos that you have downloaded
Videos I've downloaded. Okay, go ahead and continue.
that could be on there, and we need those.
No, it's a voice recorder only. And it's mine,
How do we know that?
because I just told you.
Prove it to us.
Uh-uh. I don't need to. It's my own personal property.
How do we know that?
I just told you.
That doesn't mean much to me.
Well, I'm sorry, but I want to leave.
My understanding is that there's case law that says anything brought inside a police department under the employment, that if it could be.
Under the employment, it's my own personal property.
Yes, it'd be subject to search.
You need to have a seat.
No, you can take it up with my lawyer. He's on the phone, so
Right.
feel free to ask him all the legal questions you want. I'm not leaving. I'm leaving now. My day's over. No, I'm on administrative leave now. I'm leaving the building. Please move out of the way.
Have a seat.
No, sir.
We need to have a conversation with some people before you leave.
No, I'm leaving now. Dan, do I have the legal right to leave?
No, you're on administrative leave. And they ordered you to stay there. I'm not gonna tell you to leave, but they ordered you to stay there, but they can't take your personal.
Have a seat.
So I'll stand right here.
Have a seat.
I'll stand right here.
City legal and go that way before we do anything else. Watch it. You're making this a lot.
I am not making it a lot rougher. You're making it a lot rougher on me by not doing the right thing ever. So.
I mean, your own attorney told you he wasn't going to tell you.
Oh, he didn't say to stay, and he didn't say to give you my stuff. He told me to stay here and listen, and that's fine. Go ahead and try to keep me here. I'm not going to remain. I'm going to leave. Okay? You cannot keep me here.
You realize you're going to get yourself into more trouble?
I think I'm already there, thanks to you gentlemen. We're good. We're good. You're doing this to yourselves right now. How long do you plan on keeping me?
Till we get an answer what we're going to do from city legal.
Okay.
If they say you can leave, then we'll let you leave. If they say we have the right to take your stuff, and then we'll take it.
You're not taking my stuff.
You realize we don't want all your stuff. We just want the recording.
You're not taking my own personal recorder. Sorry. That's not going to happen. Never. My ride is here.
Yeah, you're being ordered to stay.
And I'm telling you, my ride is here. Would you like to escort me out so I can tell him that I'll be right there?
Yeah, you're not leaving here right now. Let's hit the squad car. Please.
I don't know what's happening.
Oh, boy, there. You're still on speaker.
When you talk about transparency, that fast forwarding there was that redacted?
Yeah, I don't know if that was a form of redaction or what that was, but maybe just getting to the important parts of the video. But I agree. It should have all been played, not just parts of it. You got to have context, and without playing the entirety of the video, you don't have that context. So they screwed up there. And for the commission, the merit commission, to rule against her in this incident is unreal to me. Like, I don't understand how they could have ruled against her because,
They have
I mean,
to.
I get it. You know, the FOP's got to protect their own.
They're protecting their own. That's right. So
Yeah.
that's the reputation of the department, the reputation of not only the department, the prosecutor's office, everything in between. Because, I mean, let's be honest with you. Once your police department shows that it's crumbled the way it has, the prosecutor's office has crumbled the way it has, uh, all of those attorneys, judges, you know, all come in, everything comes into a question at that point. Like, who let this happen? Why did they let it happen? That's exactly what Elliot Slozar, the attorney with all the exonerations, said. You know, who let it happen and why did they let it happen? That's what you have to ask. So,
Well, it brings
this
into
is
question
legal.
every arrest they've had, every single one.
Well,
To
yeah,
me, I mean,
even, yeah, I mean, yes.
and let's
I
finish
mean,
the rest of this, and then we'll get back to the merit commission, guys. And then stay tuned. We got an exclusive video coming for you. A couple of them actually, but stay tuned, guys.
Time's gone by to get a hold of city legal. What's the time limit here? Because I'm not going to stand here and wait.
There is no time limit, and you're being ordered to stand by.
That's fine, and I will go ahead and disobey then, because I don't care. I need to leave. I have kids at home. That's more important to me than this right now.
Okay, you're being ordered to stay. So
And I'm telling you that I'm leaving. Hey, Dan?
Yes.
I've given enough time, okay? With no, it's been 37 minutes past my shift, so this is now past the time that I would have for a lunch. So now, it's impeding on my own personal time. So now, I understand that. I'm gonna go ahead and, I'm gonna leave.
Right?
I'm gonna get home. I'm gonna go home. So, yeah, I'm on administrative leave, right? So I'm going to leave now.
Let them know you'll be available by phone.
Here we go.
no, that's
Thank you.
not.
That is my lawyer, okay? I'm asking that you move out of my way. You can't physically keep me in this room, gentlemen. I'm sorry. Excuse me.
We're waiting.
Excuse me, and I've already waited. You can contact me after the fact.
Waiting for city.
Please move out of my way.
We're
Please.
waiting.
You're not gonna hold me in here like hostage. Excuse me. Please let me go. Please. No, and it's a lawful order for me to leave. I'm leaving. You cannot keep me hostage in this room.
Joy, you're taking this.
No, I'm not taking it. Okay, you are. Please move out of my way.
We're waiting.
Please move out of my way.
We're waiting for.
I am asking politely, please move out of my
I
way.
understand. We're waiting.
And I'm asking that I can leave. Thank you. My right is here. Okay, he has things to do and so do I. So please move out of my way.
Joy,
Please move out of my way.
it's a legal order.
It's not a legal order, okay?
It is a legal order.
No, you're
is.
asking me to stay and I've already told you I've given you enough time.
It is a legal
Dan,
order.
there has to be something I can do here. You guys cannot barricade me in this room. They're barricading me in a room. I have three, Dan, I have three men. I have three men that are standing physically in the way of the door. I cannot get out.
All she has to do.
I am. So,
All she has to do.
no, I don't have to do anything that I don't want to do, okay? I'm being falsely imprisoned right now. You need to let me go. Excuse me. Please move.
We're waiting for city legal.
Dan, I have you on speaker.
There is a reason for this because of the recording device.
It's my own personal audio
We
recorder.
don't know
Yeah. Yes, you do. You don't have any. Did you issue me any?
that.
No.
I didn't issue you
Right.
anything.
Do you have one from
Did
the
you have a
department?
gun?
Did you have one from the department?
Did you have a gun?
We would all be issued one, right?
No, that's not true. Not everybody gets.
Okay,
the
but
same
you're an
requirement.
investigator. I'm an investigator. He's an investigator, right? And none of you have a department issued voice recorder, do you? No, you don't.
I did at one point.
Well, this isn't yours. I've never been issued one, ever. So now I'm asking you to move out of my way. Please move out of my way.
Joy,
No, I'm
stop.
telling you, please move out of my way.
Stop.
Please move out of
We're
my way.
waiting for city legal.
And we've waited long enough.
And as soon as they give us.
We've waited long enough. I'm leaving now. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Please move out of my way. Please move out of my way. I think I've waited long enough.
Okay, just so you know, that this is gonna be additional policy charges on
That's
you.
perfectly fine. We're going to borough court anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
I don't think it's.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Could Joy have left?
All right, so let's go back over to actual video on the commission, and we'll go back to it. This is going to be kind of at the same place. I'll try and get it back.
Could Joy have left the room at any time without her personal recorder?
Yes,
Was it Joy's choice to stay in that room?
yes.
Is this bitch stupid?
No further
Was
questions.
it Joyce's choice? No. She never had a choice in the matter.
Chief, a process server left a subpoena for your deposition on your front door, didn't it?
Listen closely
Yes,
right
And
here,
you never
guys.
came to that deposition.
That's
Listen,
correct.
this chief.
That
Former
subpoena
chief.
directed you to contact me for a deposition at a time of mutual convenience, and you never did that, did you?
I did not.
Okay, but you had notice that you were to be deposed in this case.
Yeah, 36 hours. I had a tea time on Friday at 9 a.m., so I couldn't make it.
So you could have called me though, because the subpoena wasn't for a specific
This motherfucker just said that golf was more important than a subpoena to an official proceeding.
Right, exactly. The mockery of the justice system. A mockery of what he's a military vet. He took an oath. Everything he did was against it. So he's a traitor.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly why there can't be no good cops, because of shit like this right here. I mean, there, I said it.
time and place. It said that you were to contact me to arrange a time of mutual convenience, but you didn't do that, did you?
No, I didn't.
You testified earlier that you thought that the process by which Joy Phillips was disciplined was fair.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yet she was never interviewed by Internal Affairs, was she?
No.
Okay. So Officers who complained against her or whose evidence was used against her were interviewed by Internal Affairs, but her opportunity to state her side of the events did not occur until after career-threatening charges were brought against her.
Well, she's not entitled to an interview. If the facts are readily present, there's no reason to interview somebody. I've made hundreds of arrests without interviewing somebody. If probable cause exists and you don't need to interview them, you don't. No different than a policy violation. If you don't need to interview somebody, no reason to. If the facts are readily present.
Joy Phillips wasn't under arrest, though.
No.
She was being disciplined as an employee.
Correct.
And there is a process, and she has rights as an employee.
But no right to an interview.
Okay.
Let's make that clear. Okay. There is no right to an interview in an internal affairs investigation.
What you mean is that there is no policy, but that's correct, right? There's no policy saying she is entitled to an interview.
Or a right to an interview, correct.
But my question to you earlier was this fair? Is it fair that Joy Phillips does not get interviewed and does not get to tell her side of the event until after discipline is brought?
You're asking me if I think it's fair?
Well, I know you think it's not fair, but it's not fair.
No, I think it is fair.
There's no policy at the Elkhart Police Department that says an officer can't have a personal recording device, is there?
Yes, there is.
No, what is that policy?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't have a policy manual in front of me. I can tell you that you're not allowed to have a personal recording device and record other officers. Okay. If you bring personal items, i.e. a computer, personal recording device, it is subject to search. That's a policy.
That policy refers to a personal communications device, doesn't it? That's okay. That's the language, a personal communications device.
Okay.
In other words, a cell phone.
A recorder.
No, a cell phone. A personal communications device
Cell
is a
phone,
cell
computer,
phone.
recorder, anything used to communicate, you betcha.
And you can't communicate with a recording device. That's one way.
Well, you can communicate what somebody else said. It's been done here all week.
Cannot communicate with another person using a recorder.
That's fair.
You said earlier that Joy Phillips was free to go anytime she wanted.
Correct.
As long as she handed over her property.
Correct.
Okay.
The recording device.
And just to be clear, you didn't have a court order for her to turn that over.
No.
You didn't have probable cause for that a crime had been committed.
No, not at that time.
But she wasn't free to go unless she gave those officers her personal property.
The recording device.
And there's no debate, by the way, is there, that was her personal property?
It's not, no.
Okay. So she could leave as long as she gave them her stuff.
Right.
So that is no different than a strong arm robbery.
I'm not even going to dignify that with an answer.
The victim of a robbery is free to go as long as he gives the robber his property, isn't he?
No, that's a little bit off. Someone getting a direct order from a supervisor that they're to stay and turn over a recording device that they've been surreptitiously recording everyone in the detective bureau, witnesses, victims, suspects coming through, possible HIPAA information being said out loud. Yeah, there's tons of what ifs. And the fact of the matter is that the direct order to stay is a legal order. You can't just walk off the job when you want. That's violating a direct order. If you work at Joe Blow's factory and walk out at noon, you're probably going to get fired, right?
You
So
might,
why is this any different? You're given a legal order to stand by.
so
And you disobey that order.
your employer can fire you, can't it?
Yes.
But your employer can't take your property, can it?
Oh, I'm sure that they can.
Not without a court order. They cannot just decide you have a right to someone else's property and take it.
How about if there's a policy detailing that you sign for?
Okay. You cannot take.
You are signing for a policy that says that the department can do that, so you're acknowledging it. That's the rub here.
Sir, you have no right to take someone else's private property without their permission or without a court order. You couldn't take a citizen's property without a court order or at least probable cause that a crime had been committed.
Yes, you can.
You cannot take a citizen. So you're telling me that you can take a citizen's property at any time without even probable cause that a crime has been committed?
Sure. Exigent circumstances,
Okay.
asset forfeiture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
You seize people's assets, money at a drug
Okay.
house, pending asset forfeiture.
Okay.
You don't leave it there and wait for a court order. You seize it. If you have blood stains on the pavement and it's going to rain, you don't get a court order to seize those. It's exigent.
Okay. Joy Phillips didn't commit a crime, did she? You
No.
just said earlier she was not under
No one committed
investigation for a
here.
crime.
No one committed a crime here.
In fact, the Indiana State Police are So Joy Phillips didn't commit a crime, but you're saying that exigent circumstances let you take her property.
No, that's not what I said. I was giving you examples of when police officers can take someone's property. Exigent circumstances, asset forfeiture, so on and so forth. I give you examples of that.
None of which were present here.
No, just making a point.
Okay. You can leave when you give me your stuff. Sir, that is what a strong-arm robber says to his victim, isn't it?
No, not any ones that I've worked.
No further question.
No.
Redirect.
I'm going to show what's been marked as Chief's Exhibit 6 to the chief. I think it's 701.3 there. Could you read that out to us?
701.3, privacy expectation. Members forfeit any expectation of privacy with regard to any communication accessed, transmitted, received, or reviewed on any PCD issues or funded by the department, and shall have no expectation of privacy in their location should the device be equipped with location detection capabilities.
If you could read 701.4.
Certainly. 701.4, department issued PCD. Depending on the member's assignment and the needs of the position, the department may, at its discretion, issue or fund a PCD for the member's use to facilitate on-duty performance. Such devices and the associated telephone number, if any, shall remain the sole property of the department and shall be subject to inspection or monitoring, including all related records and content at any time without notice and without cause.
Detective Phillips agreed to these policies when she agreed to become an employee with the police department, correct?
Yes, and every time a policy is updated, every member of the department has to read it and sign off that they read it and understand it.
Could you also read 701.5 D and E?
701.5, personally owned PCD. D, subsection. The device shall not be utilized to record, disclose any department business-related information, including photographs, video, or the recording or transmittal of any information or material obtained or made accessible as a result of employment or appointment with the department, without the express authorization of the chief of police or the authorized designee. Subsection E, use of a personally owned PCD for official police business is not recommended unless an emergency where the department-issued PCD is not available. Use of the personally owned PCD for official police business may require giving access to the PCD for inspection of limited areas of the PCD for inspection and to copy data to meet the needs of the department, which may include litigation, Indiana Access to Public Records Act retention, and release obligations and internal investigations. If the PCD is carried on duty and used for official police business, members will provide the department with the telephone number of the device.
So Detective Phillips agreed to hand over any personal device that she used when she agreed to become a member of the police department, correct?
Yes.
No further questions.
Recross.
Yes, Your Honor. Detective Phillips never signed that policy, did she?
She would have had to. They were set. If she did, she's in violation of that policy.
You don't have the sign-off sheet where she didn't, where she signed it, did you?
No, it's not handy.
And if I tell you that she never signed that policy, you have no reason to disagree with me, do you?
Not on the surface, no.
Did you speak with Vicki Becker about Joy Phillips, about the letter that she submitted to you regarding Joy Phillips?
No.
Did you ask for the letter?
No.
Did you talk to her about it afterwards?
No.
Is Dustin Young a Brady cop?
No.
No further questions.
No further questions.
Any recall for former Chief Seymour?
No, sir. We do have a rebuttal witness, however.
None yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're free to go if you wish, or free to stay if you wish.
Free to go, free to stay.
I don't have anything else.
We would recall David Henke.
I remind you, Mr. Henke, you're under oath from yesterday.
Yes, sir.
I like this guy. You guys
Councilman
listen to
Henke.
him.
Councilman Henke, were you viewing Chief Seymour's testimony today?
I did.
Okay. Did you hear anything that you believe to be false or misleading?
Yes.
Could you please state what you believe to be false or misleading?
I'm reading.
Objection, Foundation.
He just
looks at her like,
testified
"What
that he
the
heard
fuck?"
the testimony.
What is is it personal knowledge, the basis of his belief that something is
Yes.
false?
Well, we haven't even heard what it is yet.
Okay.
You may answer, sir.
Okay. Yes, I was looking, and it actually was a great part of the animal control law in the city of Elkhart. And the city of Elkhart law states that a vicious animal is considered to be one that has bitten or attacked, harmed, or with intent to harm any individual or another animal on or off their property. That's considered a vicious animal in the city of Elkhart. So you can read that most directly. And then that owner also must have $500,000 of insurance coverage, has to prove that to the police department, animal control officer. If they stop using or don't have that insurance anymore, they need to have contacted the police department. The animal, it says most specifically, once it has bit a human on or off the property, the dog animal will be taken to a shelter for no less than 10 days quarantine. So I refute this greatly because the chief did not quote the law, interpret it again on his own. It just doesn't match those of us who wrote it. and it doesn't match how it's written today.
Do you believe that, tell the commission, do you believe that the chief acted in compliance with that ordinance?
He did not. And quite honestly, that was what I talked to in yesterday's testimony. The fact that he misled my wife and I on believing that the officer would be disciplined when in fact, he didn't follow the law in taking the dog, didn't follow the law with naming it a vicious animal. The dog stayed for more than 6 months before they left the property, sold the property, moved on to the county. So at that time, Chief Seymour did say, well, they're going to be leaving, so they don't want to put the dog down. They'll be leaving and taking the dog with them. Well, in the meantime, the concern of our neighborhood was for any other child, any other person, any other animal walking by that house. And still, the dog was unrestrained. That's a violation of law, local law. The dog was being antagonized. Well, it was being antagonized by its owner. That would have been Officer Clays. The dog left its property and bit a human, causing bodily harm, considered a vicious animal. Automatically, the steps are the dog is taken for no less than 10 days. That none of those incidences that were supposed to protect our neighborhood, were supposed to protect the victim, occurred. And in fact, Officer Clays has to this day never called our home, never spoken to us about the incident. Never.
Is there anything else that you considered to be false or misleading?
I do, quite in fact. I was very disappointed to watch the video because it mimics exactly what I quoted yesterday in regards to Deborah Daniels' report in the Craig McDaniel report that talked about a cowboy mentality. And I think that was just greatly displayed. I was subpoenaed. I'm in healthcare. I have to go to work, but I was subpoenaed. I took it serious. I'm very disappointed that the next chief of police didn't do the same thing since he was supposed to uphold the law, but evidently a tea time was more important. I just can't tell you why the department is in the shape it's in is that type of mentality. And that's my issue. That's my fact. As a councilman, I will be digging into this. We too have subpoena power. And I just think that's the travesty we're trying to get away from. Blocking
I'm
people.
not sure how the council's subpoena power is relevant in this case.
Well, I do know, Judge, that there are other officers that carry recording devices to protect themselves. I hear them. I know that. They come to my house with that.
They're not providing evidence here today, apparently.
So I'm just
Let's
saying.
stay within the confines of the charges filed against
Mhm.
the respondent.
Is there anything else relevant to today's testimony? And if not, then thank you for your service. But if there is, please state that to the commission.
The only thing that I would suggest, and firsthand knowledge, is how many police officers contact me because they can't seem to go up line. So I do think we have policy breaches, and as much as internal, they feel as though they have.
Sorry, I gotta pause this here for a minute. We need to do kind of a integration. We need to let the Angry Bet know about the Wolverines and kind of bring people up to speed on the Wolverines and why this place is so damn corrupt.
Yeah.
So, let me see here.
There's a video on my channel if you need something quick. I can look up real quick.
All right, give me a second here, folks. Videos. Which one you want me to play? Which one would be
The Wolverine.
Okay, let me try and find it here. You guys gonna have to bear with me. I'm doing this all from a damn semi in Laredo, Texas. My service is a little bit slow. Let's see. Is that what the name of it is? The Wolverines?
Yeah, I'll find it. I'm getting it.
All right, sorry, Bo. Bear with me here, folks.
Uh,
Yeah, I'm not the greatest at it either, Angry Vet, but the important the important part is that we try. Everybody
got it.
can do this. All right. You want to put it in the private chat so I can bring it up? Because I can't see links in the actual
I'm
comments.
emailing it. Emailing it.
Oh, okay.
It's coming right now. You can play it and let it play or whatever. It don't matter to me. Some of the faces on there, some of the old cops that were all involved, like Steve Ambrose, Steve Rizzuto, Carlton Conway. There's several of them.
All right, hold on.
You'll
Give me
see.
just a second. Angry Vet, I'm trying to bring something up that's going to help you kind of understand what's going on here. It's a 16-minute video, guys. So let's just do this.
You got to keep shining your light in the camera. You Wolverines got to keep shining your light in the camera. Can I help you with something? I'm trying to look for Wolverines. Can you help me find them? Can I get your name and badge number? All three of you, please. Excuse me, sirs. Can I get your names and badge numbers, please? Excuse me, Wolverines. Unit number 2572. I know I
You
ain't got no
guys ain't
good.
subscribed to Famously. Could you guys do that, please?
2577.
Anybody, any of the mods, with some links in the
Wolverines
chats?
are scared to give their badge
please.
numbers. 18918 on that plate. Unmarked car.
Fraction of your life to wander free, but losing everything is like the sun going down on me. Don't let the sun go down on me. Although I search myself, there's always someone else.
Thank you, Farlap.
I just allow a fragment of your life to wander free. But losing everything is like the sun going down.
This is Keith Cooper after accepting a multi-million-dollar settlement for his wrongful conviction in a 1996 armed robbery and attempted murder case in Elkhart. It's the largest wrongful conviction settlement in Indiana history, costing taxpayers $7.5 million. The cost for Cooper, more than 7 years in prison, away from his family, serving time for a crime he didn't commit. Now, Cooper's attorneys say he and others were targets of a rogue group of cops inside the Elkhart Police Department, dating back more than 30 years, known as the Wolverines. And Cooper's attorneys believe the actions of the Wolverines may soon make Elkhart, per capita, the exoneration capital of the U.S.
I was just told stories about it.
Issues as far as excessive force, brutality.
Everybody deserves justice.
They would lie, cheat, defraud.
And systemic misconduct existed.
Do we want to keep digging things up?
I always questioned everything.
I think I'm done.
Please raise your right hand.
This is former Elkhart Police Chief James J. Ivory testifying in a sworn deposition.
I do.
This testimony is the first known record of a former or current Elkhart city official admitting to the existence of an all-white group of rogue cops inside the Elkhart Police Department that targeted minority neighborhoods for years.
Did you come to learn of a group of officers in the Elkhart Police Department who call themselves the Wolverines?
Yes.
Members of the Wolverines have been implicated in violating the constitutional rights of citizens in the Elkhart community, and predominantly citizens of color.
Elliot Slosser is an attorney who has investigated wrongful conviction cases in Elkhart for nearly 15 years. He's part of the Notre Dame Exoneration Justice Clinic, which uncovered the existence of the Wolverines.
Should people question what law enforcement have done in Elkhart over the past 3 decades? Of course.
You can hear him in this deposition questioning the former police chief.
The Elkhart Police Department by 1990 had a reputation for brutality against people of color. Is that fair?
Yes.
This deposition is part of recent legal action to overturn the murder conviction of Iris Seabolt, who was investigated by members of the Wolverines. Court filings in the Seabolt case describe the Wolverines as a white supremacist group targeting people of color in South Central Elkhart in the 90s.
Some of the members used the N-word when they didn't know I was around. Of course, as soon as they saw me when I walked around the corner, the conversation ceased.
Keith Cooper was put in jail by Steve Rizzuto, identified by at least one former Elkhart police officer as a Wolverine, according to court records. Cooper was sentenced to 40 years in prison, convicted for a 1996 robbery where a teenager was shot. Cooper's attorneys accused Rizzuto of manipulating witnesses with suggestive lineups, withholding evidence which could have kept Cooper out of prison, and deliberately creating false evidence and witness statements. Rizzuto later resigned from the Elkhart Police Department following an internal investigation finding Rizzuto had paid informants for sexual acts. He died by suicide shortly after learning about the Cooper case being reopened.
Nobody was like, hey, let's go look into those cases and see if the people who are still in prison every day should really have a shot at justice.
Keith Cooper spent more than 7 years in prison before new DNA evidence and eyewitness testimony from the victim saying he didn't commit the crime led to his release. Governor Eric Holcomb granted a pardon in 2017. Then, last month, the city of Elkhart paid an historic $7.5 million wrongful conviction settlement, the largest in Indiana history, according to the University of Michigan Law School Exoneration Registry. The second suspect in the case, Chris Parrish, saw his attempted murder and robbery conviction dismissed because of new DNA evidence and testimony, which led to a $4.9 million payout after a jury had found Rizzuto deprived his constitutional right to a fair trial. At least 9 former Elkhart police officers have been implicated as Wolverines in recent court filings.
The question shouldn't just be who was a part of it and what did they do? Another question should be who knew about it? Why didn't they stop it?
During his deposition, former Elkhart Police Chief J.J. Ivory identified 3 men he knew as Wolverines. Bruce Davidson, a Fraternal Order of Police president who went on to rob 24 banks through 11 states, landing him on the FBI's most wanted list. Steve Ambrose, an officer involved in the 1995 killing of Derek Connor, which led to citywide protests. And Ed Winbigler, who went on to become the Elkhart chief of police.
They would all stick together, and regardless on whatever the issue might be, made me feel they would lie, cheat, defraud, or whatever it took to uphold their cause.
When Ivory took over as chief in 1990, he had a mission to change the culture inside the Elkhart Police Department.
Issues as far as excessive force, brutality, because of the Wolverines and the various divisions within the department, it was necessary for me to know who I could trust, who I couldn't trust, and to make sure that they were in fact abiding by our rules.
People wrote in to the Elkhart Truth, accusing officers of taking prisoners to the city dumping ground for interrogation. Fed up with the way Elkhart police treated the South Side, a 1992 arrest at the Washington Gardens public housing complex ended with as many as 200 neighbors throwing rocks and bottles at officers.
It was a very volatile time, and emotions were running rather rapid and rather high.
Over the years, the Elkhart Police Department has kind of taken it on the chin a few times.
Chris Seymour took over as chief in 2020 under similar circumstances as Ivory, tasked with changing the culture of the Elkhart Police Department.
Now, I looked at it as an opportunity to steer the boat in not so calm waters.
Seymour became chief after EPD faced a 97-page report from the Police Executive Research Forum, commissioned as a response to this video. 2 Elkhart police officers beating a man handcuffed to a chair. The incident led to then Elkhart Police Chief Ed Windbigler to resign. Windbigler, one of the alleged members of the Wolverines, identified by J.J. Ivory, a group Seymour says he never encountered in more than 2 decades with the Elkhart Police Department.
Had you ever heard about it?
I'd heard stories.
What'd you hear?
Same thing you're saying. So, yeah, we'll stay away from that one.
Protect and serve shouldn't be just a slogan. It should be something that they can feel.
Elkhart Mayor Rod Robertson admits changing the culture inside the department and building trust with the community is no small task.
When you did hear about an officer or any of the police department being heavy-handed in one way, shape, or form, it reverberated inside of the community.
The department followed suggestions from the PERF report to update its use of force. Every officer is now outfitted with body cameras and squad car cameras, and EPD has created an online reporting system for the public. The stats suggest there has been significant progress. According to the Elkhart Police Department, criminal arrests in 2021 jumped 46% from the year prior, while use of force dropped, and complaints on officers went down by nearly a third.
There's no finish line. It's an ongoing process for us. We're constantly evaluating and reevaluating everything that we do.
This new administration with the mayor and Chief Seymour is a bright light in an otherwise dark system of injustice. And I hope that the chief and the mayor continue taking efforts to fix things moving forward.
But Chief Seymour didn't appreciate the line of questioning regarding
Watch
the
carefully.
Wolverines.
Rage quit coming up.
Digging things up, or do we want to acknowledge that maybe mistakes were made or procedures were not in place to effectively do things, and now we have them in place and we're doing things what we think is right?
He made it clear past misconduct isn't something he's focused on.
Yeah, I think I'm done.
Well, and just to clarify, I mean, you're saying it's past, but Cooper was in jail up until very
I don't want to live in the past. Okay, I can't answer for what people did 30 plus years ago.
So what is being done today for people put in prison by members of the Wolverines? And if there was a pattern of misconduct, what is being done to investigate possible wrongful convictions for people still sitting in prison? Nothing.
Do you believe that the city should review any cases involving officers that were implicated in potential misconduct?
Not my job.
The city, county, and Elkhart Police Department all said they will not reopen cases or review past convictions that involved officers responsible for any of Elkhart's growing list of wrongful convictions. Elliot Slosser wants to see an independent prosecutor appointed to review potential cases of past misconduct, specifically involving members of the Wolverines.
We're not counting on a system that has protected itself for 30 years to somehow say, oh, we're going to do things the right way and look backwards.
Everybody deserves justice. That's what I would tell you. And nobody deserves to have their character assassinated because they made mistakes or whatever. They answer for their individual stuff, and that's nobody else's to answer for. I don't have a time machine. I can't go back and fix all this.
My job is to move forward. My job is to make sure that the administration
Blank stare says it
that
all.
I have and the police chief that I have is applying the law appropriately. We will be there to assist whatever we are asked to assist in, but it's not our job and nor my administration to investigate past administrations or past police chiefs or any of those things. It's not my job.
There are 2 pending federal civil rights lawsuits from overturned convictions that.
All right, so Angry Vet. Now, maybe you understand what we're dealing with here. This is what it ties everything together from Elkhart, Indiana to South Bend to Mishawaka to Goshen to the whole area. This is what we're trying to get out there. This is the story.
What's concerning is you have, obviously, they said this could be the exoneration capital of the United States. I think that's pretty big. The question is, why aren't they investigating the cold cases now that came from all these people being incarcerated 7 and 17 years? Remember, Mr. Andy Royer, the case hasn't came back for, Keith Cooper was in jail, what, 7 years? At the record, settlement. And Andy Royer was taken as a mentally handicapped person and framed with Carlton Conway and Vicki Becker sitting in the room. She thought it was funny because she laughed about it. But yeah, what about all them people in unsolved cases? Kind of crazy. There's more cases coming back. It's not just those. There's tons of them coming back. The media don't even cover it. The media doesn't even cover this stuff, you guys. They cover what you've seen, but the only people is ABC 57. They do not go extensively into anything. Not even these hearings or this merit commission. None of this is on the news about what the councilman had to say or all that. They kept that from the public because the prosecutor called the city attorney. Vicki Lane Becker called Rose Rivera, the city attorney, and told her that this shouldn't be published. And then you heard what she said in a public merit commission about redacting a public hearing. So there's your answer. And this councilman right here, he's getting ready to utterly destroy her in about 3 seconds.
Oh, Vicky, it's not just me doing this. Famously has done all the hard work. He's done so much research into his area. It is unbelievable. This just scratches the surface, along with Leo Watcher. And Freedom to Film has been out there doing it as well, guys. This is not a one-man show. This is everybody working together to do this. This is all of us here that's been putting these panels on. Yes, I'm the vessel that this has gotten out on, but this is not my work. This is Lee's. I'm just trying to help. Period. So watch this guy destroy these people.
Put pen to paper, implemented the McDaniels report. Clearly, the fact that they're having to seek out members that are not police to be heard is an indication of a problem itself. The largest one by which you know about, and that was a nurse practitioner brought onto the city of Elkhart and all the issues
I'm going to
that came
object
with
to the
that.
relevancy
So,
of
with that
this.
said,
Councilman Hankey, that's enough.
our policies are not in place. Thank you.
Just, isn't it true that Chief Seymour is currently suing you in your personal capacity?
It was a tort claim to silence me.
So then you would have a reason to be biased against Chief Seymour, correct?
I don't have a reason to be silenced in my office as a councilman.
No further
And
questions.
by the way, the city would have to defend me in that suit. Thank you.
Oh, I love it.
No further rebuttal witnesses, Your Honor.
Any other evidence?
I'm going to try to avoid a trial within a trial here, so I'm going to rest despite the ridiculousness that just went on.
Evidence.
Yes, Your Honor.
We're by the calendar, we've got 2.5 hours of scheduled time. Do you want to try to make closing statements now?
Your Honor, I think
Oh, by the way, Angry Vet, the lady that's been talking, the other side, that's the city attorney. That's the FOP attorney. So yes, she would have to defend him in their own case. Oh boy, you just can't make this shit up, y'all.
a break to prepare our remarks would be helpful.
Oh, absolutely. I don't mean you to start now. Suppose we give you till 3 o'clock.
Yes, sir. That'd be fine.
Yes, there's a lot of stuff that they may need to think about. 3 o'clock?
Yeah.
We'll recess then until 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, this is where we're at, folks. We've got a little bit more of this video, and I'm not sure. Oh, this goes back over what we've already went over, I think.
Yeah, we've watched we watched that. It's just a recap going and giving you guys like the Wolverine story, what the the chief's testimony, the what the Wolverines are. That way, it gives you an idea of what all this intertwines into. When the prosecutor was questioned in this hearing, what was testified to, it just gives you a little bit of light into that darkness, I guess. So
Okay,
yeah,
so
so
I am.
whatever. But
I'm just trying to get those videos here.
okay.
The exclusive videos, guys, that we have from Napanee.
Yeah,
I don't know if we
Napanee,
can
Indiana.
add them. I don't know if we can add them in, but we're going to try. Bear with me here. Let me see video file. Downloads. Can we do this?
These videos are from somebody that submitted them, and they gave a narrative of the events, which I think after he figures out if we can play the video, he'll show you a screenshot of the narrative of what happened, and then we're just gonna play the videos so you guys can see what they act like.
Just bear with me here, guys. I'm trying to get it here. Boom. Download. All right, let's see if this works here. I don't know which one to play first.
Play, show the narrative, if you will. Do you have that screenshot of the narrative? Basically, what's going on here is I believe it's an Officer Waddell and Beer, and they arrest someone, and are being unprofessional while they're doing it. The guy said that he couldn't fit in the cop car the way that they wanted him to get in there. One of the officers walks around to the other side of the cop car, I guess, jerks him through there, and basically it just goes to show you get a lot of reports like Napanee, with me and Freedom to Film we went there for a reason. We thought they were going to do a traffic stop. They stopped us. Then they retaliated against Freedom, and then them charges were dismissed. The reason we were there is because if you get on local social media and stuff like that, you see people complaining of how these officers are acting, what tactics they're using to pull people over for no reason.
I can't bring up the narrative letter. I can read it to you guys.
Okay.
Basically, what the anonymous source has sent, their narrative of what's going on here. It's officers or Sergeant Waddell and Officer Beer being very unprofessional and using excessive force. You can hear the language they are using, and you can hear my brother cooperating, telling them he will get in car. He just can't get in the way they forced him in. And you see Waddell go on passenger side of the car, and at that point he grabs my brother by handcuffs and pulls him through the back seat. You also hear officers say, "Don't hurt yourself." Then you hear my brother say, "I will get in, but I can't get in that way." And after that, you hear the officer say, "That's not how that works. I put you in." So they're trying to make it sound like he's resisting, but clearly he is not. All right, this is coming from the person that recorded the video. So I don't know which one to watch first, but we'll watch them both here.
The closest, yeah.
Start it over.
I will. It doesn't work that way. Get in the fucking vehicle. We're gonna put you in the vehicle. Your foot in the fucking vehicle. I can't sit in that way. Okay? So fight first aid.
Okay, now this video.
I will. It doesn't work that way. Get in the fucking vehicle. We're gonna put you in the vehicle. Your foot in the fucking vehicle. I can't sit in that way. Okay? So fight first aid.
It's the same video, isn't it?
I think it's a different angle, just a little different.
Let me go check the email again and make sure that it's two separate. Yeah, that's the exclusive video. That's what it was. So you could hear him in there, talking shit to the guy, trying to put on a narrative that isn't there. You could clearly see he was trying to get in, but they wouldn't let him get in the way he could. They wanted him to get in the way they wanted him to. So, I mean, that's pretty much what we got for you guys.
I don't know how much time you got, Midwest. Do you have any time
I mean, I got a little bit of time. I got to be up about 4:30 in the morning, but we got a little bit of time here. Why? What's up?
Can you pull up that and you can't pull up no pictures in there from what I sent you of the let me I'll write you in private chat. I think the links are in private chat to it. But what I wanted you to pull up is a screenshot of the financials on that funding.
Oh.
Where it says how much goes where and
Yep, I got it. Yep. You guys, so Does anybody know anything about the Anti-Defamation League?
They're the ones that basically pay and fund and give grants to. They say they're there for anti-defamation, but they're there to fund the people that are defaming you when you're legally carrying out your constitutionally protected activities, or
So
basically
when you hear people talking about defund the police and this, that, and the other, that comes from the Anti-Defamation League. That's one of the sources of that. So these same people that are asking to defund the police, well, let me just show you something. Can y'all read that? Can y'all see that?
it's
Put
a
a
little
in the chat
hard.
if you can see him.
It's a little bit hard to read. Do you have a screenshot? There's I'll look. Let me put it.
I'm just going to go to it.
You do all right?
If I
Okay.
can.
Yeah, you can. I don't know if
Bum, bum,
there's
bum.
All right, right there, right there, right there. The ADL request. Yes, you can zoom in. Can you zoom in on that more? Yeah. Oh, back a little bit. Yep, right there. You can. Yep. So it says the ADL requests $100 million for grants to state, local, and tribal law enforcement agencies to conduct educational outreach and training on hate crimes and to investigate and prosecute hate crimes, as authorized by Section 4704 of the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Jr. Hate Crimes Prevention Act. ADL also requests $30 million for grants to support community-based approaches to preventing hate crimes through the conflict resolution and community empowerment and education, which has included in the fiscal year 2023 House Appropriations Bill. While Congress ultimately appropriated $5 million of this funding in fiscal year 2022, that amount falls far short of the need. ADL supports the President's FY 2023 budget request for an additional $5.8 million for the Civil Rights Division to increase capacity to enforce civil rights statutes and address hate and bias in the areas of education, employment, housing, policing, public accommodations, and access to federally funded programs, and urges the inclusion of this funding in the fiscal year 2024 request. Okay, so it's not just what's on the forefront of you thinking that, oh well, they're just funding this for that, but there's another link in there in that if you can, I don't know if you can pull that up, but it's called the Protect Plan.
Yep.
It's
What part of that?
well, yeah, it's a plan. I mean, it's to
You want to
protect
show the whole
what?
plan?
I mean, I don't care. I mean, you can, but I mean, just these links right here, you guys. I'm gonna throw them up for you guys in the regular chat, so you can go to them and check it out yourself. But some of the things that you see on the forefront aren't, so when they carry out their duties or their policies of their department, guess who pays them and has them implement these policies? Well, there you go. It's grants and you know basically a bunch of funding that comes from right there, the ADL.
Well, here's the gist of this. They're playing both sides of the fence here. They want people to support their movement to defund the police, and at the same time want people to fund more policing into communities.
Right, but the policies that they're implementing and that they're influencing them to do with money is a direct effect on me, you, and everybody else, because those policies and procedures turn into other operating procedures, which turns into how they handle you, how they deal with you, what information they collect on you without even a warrant, without anything. They just put it into a computer system and it goes.
The first little statement should tell you all you need to know about the ADL. January 26, 2021, Americans watched as a violent insurrection fueled by extremist conspiracy theories and white supremacy gripped the nation and attacked our democracy. This was a predictable act of political violence fueled by years of increasing domestic violent extremism. The forces that led to the attack on our capital continue to pose a threat to American security and our democracy today.
So it's fear
So
porn
that's,
or
yeah,
false flags. It's
fear
like, well,
mongering.
this happened, so you need to do this, or Yep.
So maybe this can shine a little bit of light on what they're trying to inject into our community, into our movement. The whole defund police and the whole conspiracy theory. Don't fall for it, guys. Do your research. Anti-Defamation League is not for us. They're for themselves. It's a fact. Here is the plan right here. Look.
Yeah.
Right there.
A plan.
It's a plan. Exactly right. It's a
Right
plan.
there. On and repair plan to address online hate. They can turn anything into hate. How you voice your opinion of something, or what you believe in, or whatever your political aspects are, or they turn it all and then they just categorize you without any due process. They build a profile of you. So it's basically profiling in a whole different way.
Here's an important statement from them too. Don't
Yeah.
just look at what the wording is. There's all the way they word shit benefits them, not us.
That's why they walk around there like, well, you guys they're just the sovereign citizens, or whatever they put in there. They've put it out on dispatch records, but you've had no due process in that. Like it's a sovereign nation. Last time I checked. I also read some stuff that Jefferson wrote and said it's all an experiment. So some think it's a democracy, but it's a constitutional republic. And then you read where ex-presidents say the experiment of America. So we're just being experimented on at this point, as you can tell. It's a hell of an experiment, I'll tell you that. I'm ready for the wires to be ripped out of the head.
Yeah, we're guinea pigs in their little experiments, guys.
Yep.
We are definitely guinea pigs. But
Cattle.
the links are in the chat. Links are in the chat, guys. Go check it out for yourselves. Don't take my word for it. It's why we provide all the links that we do. Like this one right here. Boom. And this one right here. Go check that one out. Famous the Unfamous. He does good work out there.
Try to.
This one right here. We're not going to stop just because this Joy Phillips commission hearing is done with. As far as we're concerned, we pretty much went over it all. Everything that's left is pretty much just a recap. This is not going to end. We're going to go into other aspects of Elkhart, or it might be your community next, or my community. Who knows?
We'll let them keep guessing.
But stay tuned, guys. This is the final episode of the Merit Commission meetings with Joy Phillips in Elkhart, Indiana. It gives you a taste of what they're doing there. The level of corruption, it's top down or bottom up, however you want to look at it, but it's the entire system.
It is under judicial review, just so you guys know. So there's I believe special prosecutor cases pending in other counties. So if we get updates on any of that stuff, we'll definitely try to put it out there. But there hasn't been much published on it. You don't get anything from local news. It seems like if it doesn't fit their narrative or what their agenda is, they don't cover it. So it's not like it used to be back in the old days where you sat around at 6 o'clock with the brainwashing machine and got propaganda pumped into your head. It's worse than that now.
Absolutely. If you guys come across things in your area and you don't have a platform, or you just don't feel like covering it, you can send it to me or Famously Unfamous or Leo Watcher, and we can see what we can do to look into it and put it right here and expose it. This is
Just
what we're doing.
for advice, I mean, if you've got videos that you want to share to channels or whoever you watch, um, upload them to like YouTube or something online or Rumble or somewhere, whatever platform you use, so you can archive it. That way, if anything happens, you can always go back and get to it, or
Yep.
you know,
Upload it to
figure out.
private,
Yep. And then when
and
you want
then,
somebody to share it, you can give them a link. So that's
yep,
easier that way. You share the link.
so much easier for us, and we can keep we can keep you anonymous too. I don't have to show the channel. I don't have to do none of that. Put them up there. Get a record of it. If you want us to cover it, let us know. We'll do what we can to help you guys. This isn't about either any of us individually. This is about us as a people. We the people. It's time for us to fight back, and this is the way to do it. Anybody
How
can do
how
this. It's not
how
hard.
how far like how long would it take you to pull up some info on like when Miss Becker was testifying in this hearing, maybe her second day testimony or
Her
something.
second day.
Yeah, like I can't remember where that was at. And that 24 hours video, man. That was a lot to
Yeah,
work through.
we've done a lot of video here, covered a lot of it. Was it one that we already did? Is that what you mean? I don't remember which one that was, dude. I don't know. Carol Hagel. Look into the repeat drunk drivers in South Bend who never get more than a slap on the wrist and let go due to being city informants. For the St. Joe County Prosecutor's Office, huh?
Yeah, well, the prosecutor's office is looking to their funding too.
Yeah.
All I can tell you.
You guys
I'm
want to
sort
go
of
down a
busy
rabbit
out
hole, just look up Notre Dame. Follow the money.
there. Look
Everywhere
up
you
all
look,
the
just follow the money.
yeah, look up all their information. Google put it on there for you. I'm sure you know. Brave browser did too, and DuckDuckGo and Microsoft and everybody else. It's already on the internet. You just gotta look for it. You'll find it. I'm sure.
Right.
But I'm gonna look real quick. I don't know. Man, I'm trying to think of something else to here to bring up, but give them a little bit of. Unless everybody's done, they're wore out, and they want to be done.
You guys wore out, or would you like to see a little bit more? Put a 1 in the chat if you'd like to see more. Put a 2 in the chat if you're burnt out for now. It's okay either way. If you'd like to see more, then we can dig into the archives. Good night, Critter. Appreciate you coming in. Got a lot of one. Oh, shit. Critter not going to go to bed then. She wants to see more. Or he wants to see more, whatever. I can't see the profile. Critter Bones wants to see more. Carol wants to see more. Diane P, Joko, Buzz, they all want to see more. Two Fry wants to see more. Well, let's let him dig into the archives a little bit. He is the resource monster over there, guys. He's got all the information on his area. Honestly, I just don't have the time for it. I work too much.
All right, you should have it in your email.
In my email. That's okay. Un momento.
About 1 hour 34 minutes in, somewhere in there.
I don't have anything yet. Oh, there it is. 1 hour and 33 minutes in.
Yeah, 34, somewhere in there.
Oops.
And this is the testimony of the Elkhart County prosecutor pertaining to what we were talking about with the Wolverines, the Joy Phillips thing. I figured we might as well end with this so that you guys have an understanding of what's going on with the wrongful conviction cases that you watched and everything. It'll all come and make sense when you hear the questioning and the testimony of this prosecutor. It'll resonate with you after what we watched tonight. I think it'll put the icing on the cake for this video.
Diane P says, "Is Indiana worse than Illinois?" It's hard to say. They both tie in together out of Chicago.
I think they just compete with each other in that aspect.
So
it's like a contest.
yeah, it is like a contest. Let's see. I got it. I had to let it load a minute. All right, let's
No biggie. Sit back in your chairs, guys. This is interesting testimony here, and it's important. This is an elected official that's been around through some hellacious, egregious activity, and let's hear what she has to say about it herself.
Ms. Becker, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you being available, particularly while you were traveling. Does the witness need to be sworn?
Ms. Becker, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give here will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Ms. Becker, could you just state your name for the record?
Vicki Becker.
And you are the elected prosecutor of Elkhart County?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Now, the prosecutor has no role in the internal disciplinary affairs of the Elkhart Police Department, does it?
No, no role at all.
Okay. But you attended portions of Ms. Phillips' disciplinary hearing in October 2022. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Do you recall what portions of that hearing you attended?
I cannot give you specific portions. No, I was there for quite a bit of testimony.
If I suggested to you that you were present on October 11th, that is the first 2022, that is the first day of the hearing, would you have reason to disagree with that?
I can't affirm or disagree either way. I don't know which day it was or what the status of the proceedings was. I'm sorry.
Okay. How about the second day of the hearing, which was October 25th, 2022? Do you recall being present for any part of the second day of the hearing?
I'm not sure if I was present on the second day or not. It is certainly possible, as I remember sitting in two different places, but it could have been simply because after breaks I sat somewhere else. So I just don't recall. I'm sorry.
Now, this is not something you would normally do as prosecutor, is it?
No, it is not.
Okay. Why did you come to that hearing?
I had information, I believe, from Ms. Rivera with the city attorney's office that Ms. Phillips was attempting to utilize a piece of evidence that was a law enforcement recording. And the underlying case, I believed, was going to be submitted for review for charges. So I was very concerned about confidential information from an investigation that had not yet been reviewed by my office being disseminated to the public, and how that may taint future evidence that would come in.
If I were to tell you that that footage was a city exhibit and not one of Joy Phillips' exhibits, would that change your recollection?
No.
Right. I'd like to go back and ask you again how you learned of this exhibit.
If I recall correctly, I had a conversation with Ms. Rivera. It could certainly have come from another source. I don't recall. All I recall is that I was concerned about a piece of evidence being disseminated to the public.
Did Ms. Rivera initiate that conversation?
I'm sure she did. I wouldn't have known. Well, whomever it was, you know what? I can't say, because I can't say for sure that that was the first I heard of it, but the best of my recollection is that it was Ms. Rivera that first brought it to my attention. Again, I could be wrong.
How did Ms. Rivera bring it to your attention? Did she call you, email you, speak to you in person, something else?
Telephone call to my office.
When did that happen?
I don't recall. Sometime before the hearing.
What did you do with that information?
I decided that I wanted to see exactly what was going to happen, and so I attended the disciplinary hearing.
Did anyone else give you information about the upcoming Board of Safety hearing regarding Joy Phillips?
Prior to the hearing, I don't recall.
Did anyone from the city administration other than Ms. Rivera speak to you about it?
Not that I believe.
Did anyone on your staff at the prosecutor's office talk to you about it?
I recall having a conversation with Chief Investigator Bruton, but I believe I initiated that. I don't recall having any other conversations, but again, I could be wrong. It's been a while.
And what was that conversation about?
I told him what I was doing, and he offered to come along with me.
Prior to Ms. Rivera informing you of this exhibit at the hearing, had you had any contact with, were you familiar with Joy Phillips?
Yes.
How were you familiar with Joy Phillips?
I was aware that she was a detective for the Elkhart Police Department.
Had you worked closely with Joy Phillips in any prosecution?
I don't know what you mean by closely. She had taken part in one investigation that I was working on, and so we did interact on that, but I would not consider that to be closely.
Have you put her on the witness stand and examined her yourself as a witness?
I don't believe so. I could be wrong, but it certainly doesn't stand out in my memory.
Have you had an opportunity to observe Joy Phillips on the witness stand in a criminal proceeding, whether you were the lead attorney or anyone else?
I do have a memory of seeing her testify, but I couldn't tell you when, what case, who the attorneys were. It's very vague.
Have you reviewed Joy Phillips' work product as a detective, and I mean search warrants, reports, anything else that she produced in any case that was prosecuted by your office?
I'm sure I have at one point or another, but I could not tell you for sure or when that occurred or the case it involved.
And do you have any impressions at all about that work of Joy Phillips' work product?
I suppose I have some personal opinions just from the one case that I do remember, but I'm really not comfortable disclosing my personal opinions.
Well, what is the one case you do remember?
That was the multi-fatality traffic case up on Beardsley. Grossweiler was the last name of the two defendants.
Have there been any occasions in which Joy Phillips testified in a criminal prosecution that handled by your office in which you found her to be dishonest?
I'm sorry, could you restate that question?
Yes, ma'am. Have there been any cases prosecuted by your office in which you called Joy Phillips to testify? You or one of your deputies called Joy Phillips to testify and found her testimony to be dishonest?
I can't answer that question. I don't personally recall ever calling her to the stand myself, and I would have no knowledge of anything that, or when my deputies called her. So I can't really answer that question because if my deputies had an opinion about it, it was not brought to my attention, but I can't say that they didn't have an opinion.
Has one of your deputies reported to you that that he or she called Joy Phillips to the witness stand, and Phillips' testimony was later found to be dishonest?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
Just to summarize, you came to the Board of Safety hearing because you were concerned that video might be played from an ongoing investigation.
I was concerned that Ms. Phillips was going to be introducing confidential information to the public.
What were you going to do at the hearing if that happened?
Just observe and make notes of it so that I would have an understanding of how that might impact a future criminal case.
Did you file anything with city legal asking them not to, or call Joy Phillips' attorneys and ask them not to release this information?
I remember having a conversation with Ms. Rivera. I do not recall the details. I remember saying I did not want evidentiary video to be played. I remember having some conversation about what might be okay and what might not be okay. But I don't remember any more details than that. No, I did not contact Ms. Phillips' attorney. I did not think that that was appropriate. I was not a party in the case.
Do you know if the video was in fact played at the hearing?
I know some video was played. I do not believe that the actual evidentiary video was played.
Do you know which video was played?
No, I remember it was one of the officers' body cams. As I recall, what I could see in the video was the steering wheel of his vehicle and captured his voice. Excuse me.
Ma'am, I think you mentioned earlier that you were not present for all of the October 11th hearing.
I don't believe that I was.
Do you know what parts of it you attended?
No.
While you were,
I should say, I'm sorry, not specifically. I recall certain persons testifying, but I can't tell you what portion or what part that was.
who do you recall testifying?
I specifically recall Sergeant Denise Hauser. I recall, I believe it was Captain Whitmire at the time. I recall maybe James Rathel. I recall Sergeant Roundtree. I recall Chief Seymour speaking, but I don't know if that was testimony or not. I think it was. And I recall there were a few other people. I recall watching Joy Phillips testify, excuse me. And then I recall there was someone that testified via WebEx. I think it was Officer Young from outside.
Was there a specific evidentiary video that you were concerned about that might being played at the hearing?
Yes.
Which one? What was it?
Anything that showed the pursuit, anything that showed the scene of the reported burglary, anything that showed witness statements.
Did you ask that the hearing not be publicly broadcast?
I believe I did communicate that through the city attorney. I don't recall. I don't recall if I officially filed something, if the city attorney's office made that request and it was denied.
How do you not know?
I just don't recall. I'm sorry.
At the October 11th, 22 hearing, did you speak to anyone?
Yes.
And I, of course, mean beyond greetings and pleasantries. Did you talk to anyone about the substance of the hearing?
I'm sure I did.
Who did you talk to?
I have no recollection. I couldn't tell you to be specific.
Did you take notes during the hearing?
Not written notes, no.
Did you take any other kind of notes?
Mental notes, yes.
What were those?
I don't recall. There were several.
Okay.
Not very good mental notes if you can't fucking remember them. Just saying.
Ma'am, did you subsequently write a letter dated October 28th, 2022 that addressed to Chief Seymour regarding Joy Phillips?
Yes.
Would it be possible to display Chief's Exhibit number 1? Ma'am, are you able to see Chief's Exhibit number 1 from where you're located?
I am.
Um, did you write this letter?
I did write this letter, the substance of it.
Well, did anyone else help you?
No, but there's a police administration stamp and an exhibit at the top that is not my writing.
Now, when did you begin writing this letter?
Sometime before October 28th or on October 28th.
Now, at the time you wrote the letter, you were not personally familiar with most of the subjects in that letter, were you?
Well, yes, I was. I was personally present when various officers made comments that prompted me to write the letter.
Well, in the first paragraph of the letter, you write, although I am not personally familiar with most of the subject matter about which Joy Phillips stated, so, I mean, didn't you say that you were not personally familiar with the subject matter?
You're not understanding. You asked me if I was familiar with the subject matter of the letter. Yes, I was. I was not familiar with the subject matter of the facts and opinions that she was talking about.
Okay, so you had no firsthand knowledge of the underlying events.
That is correct.
And in fact, you had really, if two different people testified in a contrary way about those underlying events, you would have no independent ability to know which version of the testimony is correct.
That is correct. Yeah, I did not have any personal I had not reviewed the underlying investigation. It had not been submitted for our review at that time. So that's why, that part I didn't have much knowledge about. The purpose of the letter was not about that investigation. The purpose of the letter was about the concern for the reputation of dishonesty that was articulated by the officers during the hearing.
Just for clarification, you have not had an opportunity at the time you wrote the letter to review any of the recorded interviews, any of the case reports, any of the disciplinary records of Joy Phillips, anything like that?
I'm sure I had an opportunity, but it's not something that was appropriate at that point. I do have access to review investigations, but I don't normally do that until they are finished and submitted to my office for review. And this one had not been submitted for review to my knowledge.
So you didn't review anything?
I did not review anything on the underlying investigation, correct?
What did you review?
When I wrote the letter,
Yes, ma'am.
I reviewed the proceedings at the Board of Public Safety.
Did you go back and look at any of the transcript or the WebEx recordings, or did you do that from memory?
I did it from memory as it was shortly after the proceedings.
So just for clarification, you didn't obtain a copy of any of the exhibits that were used at the Board of Safety hearing?
I don't believe so. I don't recall that.
You did not interview third-party witnesses?
No, I was a personal witness.
You didn't interview Joy Phillips?
No, of course not.
You didn't speak to Mrs. Phillips' attorneys to get any of the materials they relied on in their case?
Again, that is not The underlying subject matter of the investigation was irrelevant. My concern was with the testimony about Ms. Phillips' reputation in her community. There's two totally different things.
You did not interview any of the policemen who testified at that proceeding, did you?
No, not my place.
Nor did you inspect any of the files from the Elkhart Police Department related to the Phillips hearing, did you?
No, not my place.
Before writing the letter to Chief Seymour, did you speak to anyone at the Elkhart Police Department?
I don't remember specifically. I probably did speak to Chief Seymour verbally before I documented it in a letter, but I don't have specific memory of that.
Did you initiate the conversation with Chief Seymour, or did he?
I don't know.
What did you say to Chief Seymour, and what did he say to you?
I couldn't tell you verbatim. You know, again, this was, well, number one, this was several months ago. I remember I expressed my concern about what I had witnessed, but I could not tell you exactly the words that I said.
Would Detective Phillips have had any idea that you were contemplating writing this letter?
I have no idea.
After you attended the hearing, and just for clarification, did you speak to anyone at the department besides Chief Seymour? Any other officers?
Okay. In what time frame, about which topic?
About writing the letter, or which perhaps prompted you to write the letter?
No, nothing prompted me to write the letter other than my own obligation to disclose information about a witness's credibility and what we would have to disclose. That was entirely on me.
Once you had drafted the letter, but before you sent it, did you discuss it with anyone at the police department?
I don't believe so, but I don't know.
When an officer testifies falsely under oath, does that constitute police misconduct?
I can't answer that question. There are multiple things that could be police misconduct. That could be one of them, but there's a big difference between making a mistake versus testifying intentionally wrongfully. So I'm not going to answer that hypothetical.
How about when an officer writes false information in a report, so not under oath? Does that constitute police misconduct?
I think it could and it could not. It depends on the context of the circumstances, and you haven't given enough information for me to answer that hypothetical.
Well, can you give an example of when writing a false report would be police misconduct?
No, I'm not going to engage in your hypotheticals for you, counsel. I'm sorry.
Would you agree that an officer's removal from a unit due to allegations of misconduct must be disclosed to a criminal defendant?
Are we talking about Joy Phillips?
Not necessarily.
I can't answer that. I can't answer that, counsel.
Well, would you agree that an officer who testifies falsely under oath commits misconduct?
Not necessarily. Yes, it could be in some circumstances. It could be not in others. Again, there's a big difference between mistake, lack of memory, confusion, the way a question is formed. I've seen numerous counsel twist information and provide incorrect hypotheticals that are then used for nefarious purposes. So I think all those things go into the equation. And again, I'm not going to go down hypotheticals with you.
Now, obviously, you would not condone police misconduct.
Of course not, depending upon how you define misconduct. It's clear you and I have very different definitions for that.
Well, what is your definition of misconduct?
I'm not here to counsel you on what a legal definition is versus my own personal definition. Thank you.
As the elected Elkhart County prosecutor, you would not befriend an officer who commits police misconduct, would you?
I'm sorry, but this is getting to the point where I think you are touching on material that I discussed previously is the subject of a federal lawsuit of which I am represented. And I've already warned you twice not to question me without counsel present regarding someone else's questions.
Ma'am, these are my questions.
I'm not answering your questions on this as I am not a friend of Joy Phillips.
Now, during your time as Elkhart County prosecutor, you've learned about allegations of police misconduct, haven't you?
Of course, it's all over the headlines across the nation.
And you've probably learned about officers with a reputation for dishonesty.
Ms. Phillips, I have, yes.
How about others?
Again, I'm not going down this line with you.
Now, during your time as elected prosecutor and I believe you were a deputy prosecutor at Elkhart before becoming the elected prosecutor, you probably learned about officers who have been tainted through allegations of misconduct, haven't you?
Joy Phillips. To
Any
the
others?
extent, I'm not going down this line with you.
And does your office keep a formal list of Brady officers?
I don't know what you mean by Brady officers.
Does your office keep a list of police officers that it has determined may be compromised because they have lied under oath?
The answer to that specific question, I can't necessarily answer your specific question. From time to time, if there are officers that are deemed to have credibility issues that have to be disclosed to counsel, yes, there have been times where we had a list of those officers.
Where's that list?
I don't know. It's not relevant now because it's in the past.
Is that list shared with the Elkhart Police Department?
The list itself, no. The way that it would be shared with the police department is like I did with this letter regarding Joy Phillips, to put the police department on notice that our office has to make certain disclosures about credibility so that they can make decisions as they see fit about what roles a person might play in their department.
How many times have you done that as a prosecutor, inform the police department that an officer is compromised?
Several.
And how have you communicated that?
Usually it is in a letter such as the one that is here in front of me as Chief's Exhibit 1.
Who are the officers to whom you've made such, about whom you've written such letters?
I'm not going to disclose that.
Is Dustin Young one of them?
I don't know.
Isn't it your responsibility to know?
Well, I've been doing this for 25 years. It is possible that there are officers from many, many years ago that I simply do not recall. If it is recent and if it is still a concern, then yes, I would know. And Dustin Young is not someone that is any time within the last several years.
Has your office called him to testify in the last several years?
I don't know.
Between 2017 and 22, while you were the elected prosecutor, how many times did you or perhaps someone on your staff write such a letter?
I don't know. Several.
What were the allegations of misconduct in those letters?
I don't have specific memory.
Can you retain those letters if we need to subpoena them?
Nah, I don't know. I don't know how far my data systems go back. I don't know. And this is, obviously this is confidential information to the extent of investigations and persons that if in the future they are material witnesses, disclosures would have to be made. So only if the person testified would it become information that had to be disclosed.
Was Joy Phillips about to testify in any proceeding before you're brought by your office when you wrote the letter about her?
I don't believe so. You're not understanding me. This letter was sent to Chief Seymour to put him on notice, as it's his responsibility as the chief of that department to make decisions about where to have certain officers assigned. So this was to put him on notice that the state was aware that her community, she had a reputation for dishonesty, as it was not as public as per se like a criminal prosecution. And at that point in time, she was, on staff as a detective. And so I wanted to make sure he was aware that the state would have to make these disclosures going forward. I did not publicly disseminate this letter to any other person. It was not publicly disseminated. However, my lawyers, my staff were on notice.
And this is specifically regarding your letter to Chris Seymour about Joy Phillips.
Correct.
Who else was on notice of the existence of this letter besides your staff?
I don't know.
Did you express to Chief Seymour that you considered this letter to be confidential and did not want it made public?
No, that's not for me to make a decision. That's for him.
So when you wrote that letter, you knew that this would have a negative impact on Joy Phillips' career, didn't you?
No, I can't say that I did. That was up to Chief Seymour, not me.
Doesn't your letter characterize Joy Phillips as a Brady officer?
I don't use that term Brady officer. It discloses that there is a reputation of dishonesty that will follow her. And I believe if you look toward the bottom, it was very clear that until she overcomes that, then whatever she worked on needed to be corroborated by independent evidence. So it does not necessarily mean it's going to have a profound impact on someone's career.
Okay. In the letter, did you specify what Joy Phillips lied about?
I didn't say that necessarily she lied. I said that she had a reputation for dishonesty amongst her community. And so that is pretty concerning. That is what has to be disclosed. Independent, isolated events are not necessarily have to be disclosed. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, but it's the reputation of dishonesty that has to be disclosed.
Right. So you hadn't done anything to you hadn't determined that she was in fact dishonest about something.
No, again, that part's not relevant. It's whether she has a reputation for dishonesty. Whether it's true or not has no impact. It's whether she has a reputation of dishonesty that would have to be disclosed. And that's merely under what the law and what the case law has dictated over the past several decades.
No, ma'am, you had discussed with Chief Seymour allegations of dishonesty against Carl Conway, hadn't you?
In what time frame?
This would, I believe, be in 2021.
I don't know. I don't know. I recall the specific conversation with Chief Seymour around the allegation of Joy Phillips, a timing situation, not clocking in or clocking out or something along those lines when she alleged that she had. And Conway, as her supervisor, I came to know had made a false representation that he personally observed that when that was not true. He had only observed a video. And I did have a conversation specifically with Chief Seymour about that.
And so your understanding is that Joy Phillips was actually innocent of the accusation that Conway made against her?
No, that's not the case at all. It was that Conway saw it on a video. He did not personally see it. And my understanding was his claim was that he personally saw it.
So he lied about what he observed.
I can't say that. I don't know.
But this is what the department determined and informed you of. Would that be a better way to describe it?
I don't know that it was characterized as a lie. To me, it was definitely not a truthful statement, but whether it was an intentional lie, whether it was a mistake, I can't answer that question.
Based on your conversation with Chief Seymour, did you come to believe that Carl Conway's false representations about Joy Phillips made him a Brady cop?
I don't use that term Brady cop. It definitely was a point where it was something that would affect his credibility if he were ever to be called as a material witness in a case. And I communicated that to the chief. At that point in time, if I recall correctly, Conway was already not working cases and would not have been called as a material witness.
And ma'am, by the way, I don't mean to antagonize you by repeating the phrase Brady cop. Is there a phrase, a term that you consider more appropriate or which is customarily used in your office to describe what an officer has been compromised through dishonesty?
So we refer to them as officers that have credibility issues. We always just use the phrase credibility issues.
And just to recap, then, did you recognize that Officer Conway's false representations about Joy Phillips led to him having credibility issues?
Officer Conway already had credibility issues from proceedings that are completely separate from this proceeding or from that instance.
Did you write a letter to Chief Seymour about Carl Conway?
No, that wasn't it. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Similar to the one that you wrote regarding Joy Phillips?
No, Carl Conway was no longer working cases in any way. And all of his credibility issues were public knowledge because of the Court of Appeals opinion, all of the other public information. And so when someone can, when a defendant or a defense attorney can ascertain things from public record very easily, then it puts it into a different category. Even though our office still makes disclosures, it's not something that has to be documented, such as the circumstances with Joy Phillips. Joy Phillips' situation was because it was so not publicly known. I mean, it was publicly known, but it wasn't at the same scale of Court of Appeals opinion or anything like that. And that's why this one was different than the Conway situation. But Conway's credibility definitely had been compromised, and that was well known.
Okay. You referred to the Court of Appeals decision. Are you referencing State v. Royer?
I am.
And that was a case in which the Court of Appeals determined that Lieutenant Conway had lied under oath?
It is.
And
Counsel, may I interrupt and ask how much longer you expect to be?
I would think about 15 minutes, sir. I'm happy to take a break. I just want to be deferential to Ms. Becker, who is an elected official.
Very sensitive to what Ms. Becker is doing, but I think it's appropriate for us to take a short break at this time.
Yes, sir.
With my apologies to you, Madam Prosecutor.
Oh, no worries. It's fine.
Let's take 10 minutes and start again at.
So now you guys can see the elected official and how she acts and how trustworthy she seems to be. How great
Isn't
her
it weird?
memory is, how her work, how her record keeping is. She's just fabulous.
Isn't it amazing how they interrupt the meeting when he's getting to the poignant questions and how it relates to how they handled this case versus a different case versus other officers that didn't even go in front of merit commissions? You know,
Right.
some did.
He actually got on a good line of questioning. So, it's time for break.
Do we have enough time to watch the rest of her? Fast forward to the rest of her interview.
How much is it? Do you know?
I'm not sure. It's not as much as this one was.
It goes clear to 2:47. Yeah, we got enough time. We can finish it.
Finish it off with because it's.
Let's get past the.
What's really sad is how she gets. Dude, she just gives it up herself. Her facial expressions, how she reacts to certain questions or gets real defensive over other ones. Human Christmas.
Yeah, there's no denying.
You got to remember, you guys, she's an elected official, so all of those wrongful convictions that she probably, even campaigned on and, vouched for and helped, obviously, was in the room with at least one of them with Carlton Conway that we know of. I don't know how many other. It seems like she interjects herself in police investigations as a prosecutor quite a lot. That maybe she should sit back and be a little bit more neutral and let the investigation take place, not try to sway an investigation. But that's my eyes, and that's it. But yeah,
Yeah,
let's
she's
let's watch her. She's
something.
gonna get destroyed here in a minute, you guys, and it pertains to a lot of the things that we watched and brought up into this. That's why we wanted to bring it up on panel, because it all ties in together. It's not just, oh well, this detective's held in the room and they're gonna fire her because she didn't write a warrant. There's a lot more in this that, and people need to pay attention to it, because these are the testimonies that other attorneys will get their hands on, and they'll depose her on the stand under oath. And this is where it gets juicy. It don't not at 6 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night on the news. They won't touch this with a 10-foot pole. They all went to college together at Notre Dame or else IU, one of the two.
Right. Yeah, she's
Or
watch her
good
true
thing.
colors come out here in a minute. Watch her get flustered and start looking all around. It's about to get good, guys. Let's check it out. Give it just a minute here to catch up. I don't want to go too far ahead. Yeah, it's about to start. Get right there. She sounds like a broad lover of the prod. Look at Andrew. They finally get rid of the letter, and they got her sitting there looking so confused and drunk. Okay, let's finish this thing. I'm about to pass out.
Well, imagine
This hearing will come back to order.
you can see the smoke coming out of her ears from the hamster wheel, boy. I'm telling
Yeah, it's more like a gerbil. Yes, I intentionally said that. Okay, here we go.
Where Miss Rivera is? We'll continue now with the examination of Ms. Becker.
Ms. Becker, was it Carl Conway's false allegation against Joy Phillips that first caused Carl Conway to be considered what I've been calling a Brady cop, and what you say, what you call an officer with credibility issues?
No, it was the Court of Appeals opinion.
Okay. And do you know when the Court of Appeals decision came down?
I'm sorry, I do not off the top of my head.
Okay. If I told you it were April 8th, 2021, would you have any reason to disagree with that?
I don't have a reason to disagree with that.
Okay. Do you know when Carl Conway was terminated?
No, I do not.
Step back a minute. Do you know that he was terminated?
I do not believe that is accurate. I do not think he was terminated, but I don't know. I really don't.
What, was he allowed to resign?
I don't know.
Do you know when the false allegation occurred against Joy Phillips?
The letter that I wrote, it was
No,
October
ma'am.
of 2020. Okay.
No, ma'am. I'm sorry. I was not being clear. Do you know when Carl Conway made the false allegation against Joy Phillips?
No, I do not.
Do you know when charges were brought against Conway?
I'm sorry?
You know when disciplinary charges seeking termination were brought against Lieutenant Conway?
No, I do not.
If I were to tell you that was September 10th, 2021, would you disagree with that?
I have no reason to disagree.
So it was after the Court of Appeals decision came down.
I am sure it was, yes.
And I believe you testified earlier that you never wrote a letter regarding to Chief Seymour regarding Carl Conway.
I did not write a letter to Chief Seymour regarding Carl Conway. Again, that would not be a standard practice when things are as public as the situation involving Mr. Conway was.
Did anyone ask you to write such a letter?
No one asked me to write such a letter like I wrote for Ms. Phillips. Chief Seymour did want me to write something regarding Detective Conway, but I did not agree with how he was characterizing things, and I refused to do so.
What was he characterizing incorrectly?
I'm not sure. What does this have to do with Joy Phillips?
Well, you did write a letter for her, but you didn't write one for Carl Conway, who's been determined by the Court of Appeals to provided false testimony. I'm looking for the distinction.
As I indicated previously, the distinction is that when things are very publicly known, there is no obligation of a prosecutor to have to disclose those kinds of things because they are so readily known. And that is based upon decades of case law as well as, other things that are applicable in the law. When things are not as well known or it's not as easily able to be found, then the state absolutely has to disclose those things. So that's what discriminates the two situations. And since the Board of Public Safety hearings, whatever they were, the Board of Public Safety, I believe, hearings were not widely disseminated, the state felt it was necessary to put Chief Seymour on notice that we would have to make these disclosures going forward, but also to basically indicate that there were ways around it.
Wasn't it readily known about Joy Phillips? I mean, that hearing was public, the same hearing that you attended.
Right, but just because something like that is public does not necessarily mean that all defense attorneys are aware of it or should be aware of it. Legal opinions, criminal prosecutions, those are things that defense attorneys are absolutely impugned to be aware of. But a administrative hearing like the Board of Public Safety, quite frankly, I'm not aware of any other defense attorneys that participated or were aware of what was going on other than, perhaps people that Ms. Phillips had told. That's why I felt it was so necessary to write the letter.
What did you know that Joy Phillips said that was a lie?
I can't necessarily say that anything that Joy Phillips said was a lie. From what I observed from Ms. Phillips' testimony, she was talking about a lot of legal principles that were very inaccurate understandings of the law, which in and of itself isn't that big of a deal. It just, demonstrates lack of legal training. But in the grand scheme of things, I couldn't sit here and tell you factually one thing was a lie or was not. I simply have no knowledge or interaction with Ms. Phillips to that degree.
Then what basis do you have to call Joy Phillips a Brady cop?
I don't. As I indicated in the letter, I have to put the chief on notice that it is very clear that her community, in other words, the police community at Elkhart Police Department, holds that she has a reputation for dishonesty. And that is what has to be disclosed. It is not a comment on whether or not she has credibility issues other than that, or whether what she said is or is not truthful. It is exclusively that she has a reputation for dishonesty, and that has to be disclosed. Therefore, if she was to be called as a material witness in any case whatsoever, this is something that would be subject to cross-examination and needed to be disclosed. She could overcome that by the department could overcome that by making sure that anything that she did was documented or corroborated by independent evidence. For example, like audio video recordings, things like that, so that her credibility was not as necessary if she had to be called as a witness.
So your concern with Joy Phillips was not that you knew anything that she said was false. It's just that other officers in her department disagreed with some of her testimony.
So the purpose of the letter and the disclosure, as I've indicated, was because we have to make a disclosure about a reputation for dishonesty. It is specific instances of conduct under the rules of evidence are not permitted anyway in a court of law for purposes of cross-examination or showing bias. So specific instances of conduct are not things that I was as worried about. As I indicated in the letter in the opening paragraph, I did have concerns about what she was articulating to be facts because I was observing multiple people testify very inconsistently to facts that Ms. Phillips was testifying to. So while I had concerns about that, I was not going to go so far as to say that what she was saying was not truthful, but I was concerned. Again, the purpose of the letter was to disclose we had to now make disclosures about the reputation of dishonesty because that is what is required under the law.
So your letter did not contend that Joy Phillips said anything untrue.
Well, it does say that her quote facts different than what other people were saying, but that's as far as it goes on that topic. My letter was focused on the reputation for dishonesty in her community.
Is it fair to say that you came to believe that Mr. Conway's representations that he personally observed Joy Phillips do something wrong were demonstrably false?
I don't understand your question. Are you saying, what are you saying?
You, with Carl Conway, you had a specific act that you knew was demonstrably false. His statement regarding Joy Phillips being that he personally observed Joy Phillips doing something wrong.
He did not personally, my understanding was that he did not personally see it. He reviewed a video and that was the source of the information. And then he misrepresented that to during an IA.
And your understanding is that Joy Phillips did not actually do anything wrong in that underlying incident.
No, that is not my understanding at all, but I have not researched that because that's not something that, quite frankly, I care about.
Okay. So your concerns with Joy Phillips' credibility are not based on any knowledge that she actually said something untrue or did something wrong.
As I indicated in my letter, the opening paragraph does document that I do have concerns about what she testified to in light of all of the contradictory evidence. However, that was not my purpose for the letter. And quite frankly, as I indicated previously, specific instances of conduct are not generally admissible as evidence in cross-examination. However, a reputation for dishonesty is, and a reputation for dishonesty must be disclosed unless it is very publicly and commonly known. Hence the reason for my letter to put the chief on notice that we would have to disclose a reputation for dishonesty in her community.
So if in the course of the Board of Safety hearing, other officers lied regarding Joy Phillips, you not only would have no way of knowing that, but you wouldn't even be concerned about it.
I'm not going to say I wouldn't be concerned about that.
All you cared about was that they seemed to disagree with Joy.
No, you're completely misrepresenting what I'm trying to tell you. There was, in a public hearing, multiple individuals in supervisory roles that testified to the extent that one would infer reasonably that Ms. Phillips has a reputation for dishonesty in her community. Whether or not that is true does not change the need to disclose it because it is publicly stated and it was very clear what those officers were saying. That has to be disclosed. That is what I did. It does not go so far as for me to try to rehabilitate her. That is not my role. I simply have to make sure that we would make a disclosure about these things that were testified to so that if she were called as a material witness, they would be subject to cross-examination on those facts.
But you cannot say what Joy Phillips was dishonest about specifically.
No, I have no personal knowledge about the facts and circumstances that were the underlying subject matter of those hearings. So I can't go there and I'm not going to. It's not my place to determine whether or not she was accurate in her facts or not.
Then how could you write that letter? How could you say that Joy Phillips has no credibility to testify in court because of a reputation for dishonesty when you have no knowledge whether she said anything that was untrue?
Mr. McQuarrie, I'm sure you are familiar with the rules of evidence, and I'm sure you're familiar with the rules of cross-examination. A reputation for dishonesty is grounds for cross-examination. Specific instances of conduct are not. Therefore, the reason I wrote the letter was to put Chief Seymour on notice that there are her supervisors and they were testifying that she had a reputation for dishonesty in her community. It does not require that I have public or personal knowledge about the underlying facts and circumstances of that subject investigation. It merely was that I was a witness and I observed that her supervisors believed that she had credibility issues. That is a problem, and that is what I have to disclose. I don't make the rules. I simply, follow as best as I can.
So you can write a potentially career-destroying letter saying that someone is dishonest without knowing that the person actually said anything untrue.
Mr. McQuarrie, you have that letter. I did not say that she is dishonest. I said I have to make these disclosures, if she is a material witness, anything that she is a witness to has to be corroborated by independent evidence until such time as she overcomes that reputation. That is possible. And to me, this is not a career ender. This is something that a chief has to use to make decisions about what assignments to put an officer in until such time as they overcome or rehabilitate themselves. And that is purely an administrative issue for the police department. It is nothing about which I have any control.
And yet you called Carl Conway to testify at trial.
I never called Carl Conway to testify at trial about Joy Phillips. There hasn't been a trial.
But you were willing to put him on the witness stand.
No, there has not been any trial or any case where he's a material witness involving these events.
But involving other events. Your office is willing to put him on the stand, but you write this letter about Joy Phillips.
No, Mr. McQuarrie, as I've talked to you, Mr. Conway had credibility issues that arose during that other unrelated event, and he was no longer a witness that would be called as soon as that happened.
Have you ever disclosed to a defense counsel that Carl Conway has a reputation for dishonesty?
Okay, Mr. McQuarrie, again, I'm not going to allow you to be the puppet for another attorney, and you know that I am represented by counsel on these very issues. Please stop doing this. This has nothing to do with Mr. Conway, as he's never been a material witness after his reputation has been affected. So he was never called, so that never had to be disclosed. And that was known at the point that this opinion came down. So please stop trying to taint this proceeding with your other agenda.
Did you take any action regarding Conway that would prevent him from serving as a police officer, as you did with Joy Phillips?
I'm done answering these questions.
In fact, you didn't take any action regarding to him comparable to the action you took with Joy Phillips.
The circumstances are completely different. Ms. Phillips was still a detective. Ms. Phillips could have rehabilitated her reputation, and Ms. Phillips could have been called as a material witness in the future. Mr. Conway was not.
I have no further questions. Thank you, ma'am.
Any cross?
None.
Ms. Becker, thank you very much for taking your time and appearing today. We very much appreciate what you've said here. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Am I free to go?
You are free to go. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you kindly.
There you have it, folks. There you have it. Thomas, what do you guys think?
Yeah, that's what you got in Elkhart County in a nutshell. That's just what's, flowing out of the lid right now. It's overflowing. It can't hold any more waste. It's just
Flowing right out of the sewer system.
flowing right out of the sewer system. It's backed up. But as you guys know, she was endorsed by the former prosecutor of Elkhart County, Curtis Hill, who was actually an Indiana Attorney General, and he went through some allegations of philandering or inappropriate behavior. And I sent you a video of her first campaigning. I don't know if you got that or not, but it's just seems like, with all the behavior of the Wolverines, the wrongful convictions, her serving 25 years in this, is she really an elected independent prosecutor, or is she a, you know, cog between the real justice in America and what the Wolverines want done? It seems like she's in partnership with them.
Let's see if we can bring that up. Video of Miss Vicky Becker when she was campaigning. Is that what that is?
I believe so, when she was endorsed.
Let's check it out.
Hello, my name is Vicki Becker. I have practiced law in Elkhart County for over 20 years now, and I've worked with Curtis Hill. I've personally observed that he puts the people of our community first, not politics. I support Curtis Hill for Indiana. Experience, courage, strength to lead Indiana as our Attorney General. Encourage your delegates to vote Hill for Indiana.
What a fucking joke. Wow.
Like, I mean, you can't act any better than that. I mean,
hello.
Yeah, she
Hello.
she does look. Hello, I'm Vicky Becker, and I don't remember shit that I say, and I'm stoned as hell.
Oh,
Good
God.
God. Yeah, whoever said it earlier, you cannot make this shit up. Yeah, this episode is going to conclude our coverage of the Merit Commission. We don't really have much else as far as Joy Phillips is concerned. We may dig up something else on somebody else, or we may go to a different area, or we may cover more in Elkhart County. But as far as Joy Phillips, she was eventually let go. I think it was 3 months ago, they came out and said that she has been fired from Elkhart Police Department, and the Merit Commission is now under a judicial review, which means what the fuck is going on? A review commission has to be reviewed by a review commission.
And a special prosecutor investigating the criminal confinement allegations in either Kosciuszko
Which
County
involves
or Marshall County.
which involves a county prosecutor. Let that sink in.
Yep, that wrote the chief a letter and warned him that she's going to have to be untrustworthy. Well, okay, I got this letter, so that you see how it played out. I don't know if she wrote the letter and then he went in there and tried to take everything from her or what he was doing, but it, that wasn't even. That's all warrantless search stuff that you're dealing with. You're dealing with some pretty big constitutional right violations. If there was no charges, there's no crime. I mean, you can't take somebody else's property without due process of the law. I mean, even if it's information that you're trying to get that you feel that is public record, because I know people bring that up, there's a process in that. I mean, you have to get a warrant for certain things. If it can't be given to you willingly, it's just like what that a lot of people missed it. Mr. Roundtree, the sergeant of the detective bureau, mentioned in his testimony through all this that he didn't have to get a warrant because he went and got permission of the person to go into the vehicle or something, right? Well, she wasn't given permission to go into her recording device. So when somebody refuses that, there's due process of the law, and that is to seek out a judge's orders or to preserve, you can let them know legally that you're interested in what's on that device, preserve your evidence, and let a judge decide. So that's the point that a lot of people are missing, is the due process, and that's Constitution. That's your 14th Amendment. A lot of things she was probably not defending. Like I said, I don't know if, but I feel like she was a whistleblower, and I feel like maybe there's more to it and we haven't seen or heard, and there's reasons for that. Another thing that you're dealing with is in Elkhart that I've noticed is almost like that term drip, 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 a little bit of information at a time, because if they let it all out at once, you heard the prosecutor. Well, that was already public knowledge. I I didn't want to reveal this, or I don't know where my records are. I'd have to check and see. Well, you might want to preserve those because with all these wrongful convictions and sitting in rooms where people are coerced into confessions and everything else and sent away for 18 years of their life that they'll never get back, they're going to have some questions and they'll probably want to see
Right.
those records. So might want to
Well,
preserve those.
it's good that the Andrew Royer case is opening floodgates of these wrongful convictions, exoneration cases. The sad thing is, it's also going to open the floodgates for a bunch of unsolved crimes. So that's what
Well,
we got to remember about your
concerning
area.
about that is you heard the mayor and he's the one that appoints the chief, and they the chief um indicated that it's not his job to go back 30 years or whatever. Well, it's your job to appoint a chief that's going to go back and look at these cold cases or have detectives look at these cold cases. Like, oh my God, blatantly, like, you just basically crush the hope or, anything that somebody has that has no answers in what happened to their family members. You just crushed all hope. Not my job. Like, are you kidding me?
Well, and then for the former chief, also say, well, I've got no desire to go back 30 years and go back over shit. Well, it's not your desire that people give a fuck about. It's the desire of the people that you serve and the people that were wrongfully convicted of these horrendous crimes that had their lives wasted in prison for 10 plus years, that would like to get their lives back. And how many more are there that are currently sitting in prison? It's time to
Well,
get
there's a bunch.
shit
They're
back.
talking about you're talking about the exoneration capital of the United States. She says it's national news. It's all over national news. No, it's not.
No, they're stifling
Not
that.
not like not like it needs to be.
No, it should be on
But
every station, in every city.
well, we watched the former chief Seymour. We watched him give his testimony in the beginning. A lot of people don't know this, but I just sent you a link in private chat of his LinkedIn account. If you go through that, you'll notice that he served on all them investigative units for the prosecutor's office and homicide units and SWAT teams and everything else himself.
Well, let's just put that link in fucking chat. Fuck it. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go, guys. The former chief of police of Elkhart, Indiana, Chris Seymour. Go look all about him. You can see everywhere he's fucking connected to. And that's just it. This whole ordeal with Elkhart, Indiana, doesn't just stop in Elkhart, Indiana. It goes over to fucking South Bend. It goes to Mishawaka. It's all over the area, guys. They're all connected. We're finding out links to everybody in the entire northern district of fucking Indiana and parts of fucking Illinois too, that are all connected. You guys got to remember, the Transportation Secretary of the United States of America is from this area.
That's right.
Let that sink in.
And he's
So
best
do you
friends
think it
with
really?
Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah. Do you really think? Yeah, he's best friends with Mark Zuckerberg. They were photographed in town there several times together. Do you really think it's stopping at Indiana and Illinois? No, it's all the way at the top now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, of course, Michigan too. Yes, Critter. You're right. Michiana. Yep. But it's not just in the tri-state area no more. It's nationwide, thanks to our transportation secretary.
Well, it goes
And
up in the
I
southern
guarantee
Michigan. It's all
right.
intertwined. Well, a lot of people, there's district areas that all the police train together, regional training. You
Yep.
know, that's why you see when you're on the interstate cars from all over different departments and everything. They're going usually like regional training exercises and all that stuff. So blue helmet shit.
LaPorte, Indiana. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Indiana as a whole seems to be pretty much a shithole unless you go. Well, no, I can't even say that. It's pretty much everywhere. I've got friends in different parts of the state. You guys are seeing it down in southern Indiana on the border with Kentucky. Now you're getting a good taste of what's going on in the northern part of the state, on border with Illinois and Michigan. So if you think it's just in these select few places, you're sadly mistaken. And it is time for everybody to do research and expose these because they can't hide from it no more. The information is at your fingertip. You guys walk around with a computer, it's got 5, 6, 7 cameras on it. Use it, utilize that thing, and let's start doing the damn thing. If you guys don't want to use your channel as a platform, send it to us. We'll do it for you. Doesn't matter who does it. The point of the matter is getting the information out there and exposing them.
Yep. Tag their name in it too. That way, when they search their name, it pops up so they can remind themselves of their egregious credibility problems.
Yep. And if you guys don't want to be a part of it, upload it privately to your YouTube channel. Set it to private. Send us the links. We'll keep your channel out of it. We'll keep your name out of it. And there's nothing to worry about. A journalist doesn't expose their sources. We will not put you on blast. If you wish to remain anonymous, that's where it will stay. You have my word on that.
Yep, everywhere across the country, man. This is the effect of it. At the top, the corruption is the cause. At the bottom, what you're looking at is the effect. It's how it affects the people directly. I mean, you heard the councilman. He said they're recording each other for their own safety, for their own jobs. You know, I'd say there's a morale problem, probably in the whole county.
Dub Wubs, if you think Colorado's any better, you're highly mistaken. Colorado's pretty damn big too, as far as corruption. Well, it's going on in the Denver area. I mean, it's all over up there too. So you're not going to escape it any state you go to. It is in every state, in every city. It just has not been exposed yet. That's why we're here. That's why you guys are there. No, I know why you said Colorado is better.
Well,
but
it's
up to us, guys.
crossroads.
They're not going to expose themselves.
Elkhart's the crossroads of America, basically. It's got one of the biggest railroad yards in the country. It's well known for all the RVs, music instruments, uh, all kinds of things. There's not a lot to do for kids or families. A lot of the people that work in most of those industries that I named are strung out on drugs. The courts play off of that. They create drug courts and programs and everything in between, even including to make you take your kids and get them involved in it. But there's nothing for there's nothing for these. There's no activities or it's just a bunch of factories and a court system. And
which they're building a brand new courthouse in the area too. So that's just gonna compound the issue. And what you guys got to realize is 15, 20 years ago, they had a judge that was presiding over all the juvenile cases, and he is now presiding over the adult cases.
Yeah.
So he's royally. Go ahead.
You take out your stores and restaurants, and you drive around here. It's family and children's centers, child and parent services, psychiatric centers, Oak Lawn. You got attorneys' offices, psychological centers for this, that, specializing in drug classes, all this. That's what's pushed into your communities for things to do. There's not nothing like you got the Tolson Center that just got rebuilt. That's for the kids to do in the inner cities. But you get these trailer factories, they make about $1 billion per quarter. That's every 3 months. And when they're hammering out units, when they're doing good. But they make the money, man. You'd think there'd be an amusement park over here somewhere with a ride named after them. They name all their RVs different shit, the
Their
Raptor,
boats.
the Puma, the Cougar, the everything. I mean, shit, make that roller coaster ride look like a damn RV or something, and name it after let the kids, let everybody have something positive to go do or work at or something instead of wander the streets and become a victim of this. I mean, mentally handicapped, living in public housing, stripped off the streets, false confession, coerced. Prosecutor sat right in there on it. How many more cases? They said the exoneration capital of the United States. She wants to hang her hat on that. She's looking rough. I see it in her face.
Something to be proud of, let me tell you.
Mm-hmm. Very bad.
So, again, if you guys have anything you'd like for us to cover, send it to our emails. If you have video, then you don't want to put it on your channel or don't have a platform, upload it to your channel private. Send us the links. We'll cover it if we can. I don't know what else to say here. We've kind of exhausted this situation. There's nothing really we can do about it. We can put the information out there. We can let you guys redress your grievances with this situation. Now it's out of our hands. It's up to you folks. Be the people.
Mm-hmm. Share it. Clip it. Share it again. It's public information. Everything we put on here, I swear, everything that we showed you today, you can go into the search tab and find it. I promise you that. It's already on there. It's not getting disseminated. But thank you guys.
Yeah,
Share
we
it
need
out.
your help.
Do what you want with it. But just be aware. When somebody says that you have a right to remain silent, anything you say and do can and will be used against you in the court of law, just remember that you have a right to that attorney and have him present during any questioning and during any testimony. You have a right to that advice for these reasons right here. What you just watched today, that is the reason why you have a Fifth Amendment of your Constitution. And they'll make you feel guilty and like you're lying and everything else. But this is a perfect example of why if you live in Elkhart, Indiana, and the cop says, well, why are you pleading the Fifth? Just say Vicky Becker, Conway, Carlton Conway, Steve Rizzuto, Steve Ambrose, Ed Wittenbigler, Chris Seymour, all of them. That's why you're pleading the Fifth.
So again, we're asking for your help, guys. Share this out there. Do what you got to do. Contact the public employees. Do whatever you can. Let's make this shit go viral. And remember, hashtag record public officials, public servants. But all right, guys, that's going to do it for us. I'm Midwest Accountability. I'm here with Famously Unfamous. Appreciate y'all's continued support. Much love to you guys. And we will catch you on the next one. Y'all stay safe out there. Remember, keep that camera up. Use it.
Have a good one, guys. Thank you guys for coming in.